You're watching TBPN.
Today is Thursday, September 4th, 2025. We are live from AIPCon. It's Palantir's conference. It's the, what do we call it? The Office of Ontology.
That's right.
The tent of tactical
strategies.
Many people have been saying this. We have a great show for you today, folks. We're interviewing Dr. Karp in just a few minutes. We're interviewing a ton of folks from Palantir, a ton of customers from Palantir, some founders, some folks who work at companies that use Palantir. Should be an interesting day. But first, there is massive news because the browser company of New York has been acquired by Atlassian.
This morning,
Yeah.
I was headed to the airport.
Yep.
I got a push notification from the browser company Substack.
Substack,
and I opened it.
Yeah.
And I saw that they were getting acquired from their own announcement. And I opened X, and nothing had been shared.
That's actually
I kept scrolling.
Randomly
It was like
subscribed to the browser company Substack.
I mean, they have actually a cool thing. It's their username is open.substack. So the URL is just open Substack.
Oh, okay.
Which is interesting.
Yeah.
So I opened it up and I'm like, whoa, browser company's getting acquired for $600 million.
Okay.
Posted it a few minutes later. I think people kind of woke up to it. They announced it. So sorry to front run them. But Josh Miller shares the browser company just signed a merger agreement to be acquired. We will remain independent. Our focus is Dia. I've written and rewritten this post more times than I'd like to admit, but what I keep coming back to is simple. The work continues and we're grateful for this moment. The work continues because when I stop by the coffee shop near our office, nobody is using Dia yet. Very humble. Our internet computer vision hasn't been realized. Dia hasn't yet changed how you work on a Tuesday morning. This deal is about giving us the resources, distribution, and monetization muscle to get there. At the same time, it feels disingenuous not to pause and briefly celebrate this milestone. It reflects our team's craftsmanship and relentlessness, the support of our coaches, board members, and advisors, and the incredible effort from our deal team. Most of all, we're grateful for what this means for Dia. It means we can hire faster, ship faster, and bring Dia to more people. We can now invest in cross-platform support and secure syncing, train custom AI models designed specifically for Dia. We could see the company from down under getting into the foundation model game, I guess.
The weird thing about this is that Atlassian already they have a Rovo, I think it's called, or something like that. Like they haven't been asleep at the wheel in terms of AI. They definitely have been adding AI features.
You were reading from the last earnings call, right?
Yeah, I mean the last earnings call. Atlassian is just a fantastic company. $5 billion in revenue, 82% margins, $1.5 billion in free cash flow, $1.4 billion in free cash flow. I'm so glad we brought the soundboard.
We're back.
And it just doesn't strike me as the last few acquisitions that they've done, like Lumen, just makes so much sense in the context of the rest of the product suite that they have. You know, they have Trello, they have HipCamp, which never really beat Slack.
Jira tickets. They have Jira, which named after the
poster.
The poster Jira tickets.
And so all of that kind of makes sense as like a bundle. You sell into one in the enterprise, and then once people are tracking issues with Jira, you sell them on, okay, let's do your project tracking. Let's do your Looms.
Yep.
Let's do a whole bunch of other things. And then the Dia browser, sure, it could be a useful beneficiary for like if you're in an enterprise context, maybe you want to track some stuff, but it's very abstract.
Atlassian makes a lot of tools that live in your browser.
Yeah, but they all run really fine in the browser. So I think people are puzzled by this generally. And I think the timeline is generally, like you saw the Will Depew post, like there are definitely people that are against this. Yeah. And are saying that like,
well, the vibes had turned on the browser company massively over the last, call it 6 to 12 months,
purely because of the valuation relative to the monetization and the progress of the business. I think
they had incredible marketing, incredible sort of like messaging, comms.
The videos are incredible. And like I watched their announcement video and like the little details of the lens flares and
they created taste.
It's very tasteful. It's fantastic. But I mean, we demoed.
So it's cool. What I like to see is one, it's a real acquisition.
Yep.
They like cleared the pref stack for sure, massively. So the team, the whole team's getting paid.
There was some uncertainty about how much they'd raised, but it was somewhere between like 50 million or 75 million and 125 million. Like it was definitely not 300 million.
Yeah.
And at 620 in cash, like everyone's getting paid out, which is great.
So I think,
and put another way, it's only 6 months of Atlassian's free cash flow.
Yeah.
Which is like, it feels like a lot, but at the same time, it's like, okay, like half a year of free cash to take a big bet on consumer in an interesting way.
Yeah.
In a market that
there isn't a winner. I am curious to see how they focus in the product on consumers versus enterprise. Like Atlassian is an enterprise software conglomerate, right? So you'd imagine that they would take the product in that direction. And I do think there's a lot of space to play in there, right? It's like bringing AI into the browser where people do all of their work.
Yeah, what's the steel man for this actually benefiting the Atlassian Enterprise Suite? Something like...
There's a post here from Virad Jain. He said, Atlassian bought Vibes, not a browser. Never asked the best art collectors how they made their money or why they bought the art. Atlassian's a $610 million purchase rhymes with that. The Atlassian problem, they invented bottoms-up SaaS. Anyone could sign up for Jira, no procurement needed. They were the cool tool of 2010, but success forced them up market. Enterprise features, enterprise pricing, enterprise vibes. Today, when founders start companies, they choose Slack, not HipChat, Linear, not Jira, Notion, not Confluence. Hashtag team has near zero inroads with the next generation. They're Microsoft circa 2014, rich but irrelevant to anyone building something new. Why the browser company in Loom? These aren't product acquisition, they're guest list acquisitions. Every founder using Arc, every startup using Loom. That's Atlassian buying access to users they lost and might never get back. It's building a gallery in Brooklyn so you could get invited to the right dinners in Manhattan.
I understand the Loom acquisition so much more because Loom is an enterprise tool. It's used by startups. It's used in a business context. Sure, it's probably used by some consumers. But
it just feels like the price feels extremely steep given like Loom had product market fit.
Yeah.
It's just that it wasn't necessarily going to turn into this massive platform and compounding.
But it's growing like crazy, actually, from within Atlassian. They called that out on the earnings.
Yeah.
And so, like, I think that the Loom
but it felt like a
standalone.
It felt like a standalone product, not a platform that fit nicely into Atlassian's
completely
platform.
Agree with that. Yeah.
Whereas paying $610 million for a company that that people use, but not a lot of people.
It's 1 million DAUs apparently, something like that.
I don't know. I thought that number was total.
Maybe it's total downloads.
I thought that was like total signups.
Yeah, but it's small. It's small.
And no one's using it. The thing with Loom, people would adopt Loom and start embedding it in their work life in a way that they would be upset if they no longer had access to it. I'm not sure that Dia is quite at that level yet.
So one bull case I can think is something like this, where you bring in this team that clearly has taste, great design, and they kind of give the rest of the Atlassian product suite like a fresh coat of paint, and they kind of revitalize the vibes.
Yeah, but the messaging here is that they're going to continue to operate independently and scaling the Dia team.
Yeah, but that could just be something that they do for a little bit, and then eventually they get interested in, hey, let's bring the team over and work on Jira and work on a V2 of Loom or something like that. Like that's a possibility. And then the other kind of maybe bull case, which I'm a lot less clear on, is there a world where if you have everyone in your organization using an enterprise AI-powered browser, even if they're not on the full Atlassian stack, let's say they use 2 products, and then they're, instead of using HipChat, they're using Slack, can you scrape more easily the data out of the other enterprise products and centralize them somehow? Because I bet you if you're a company that's using Jira and Slack, those 2 companies don't get along, because it's Salesforce versus Atlassian. But maybe if I'm like,
they're kind of forced to get along to some degree.
But the integration's probably really rough. We've heard about the data walls and the data wars. And so if you say, hey, instead of trying to set up some API and scraping out your Slack data and dumping it into your Jira instance every day, instead of that, have everyone on your team use this enterprise browser, and no matter what tool they use, the data is going to be centralized.
So let's go over to Mike Cannon-Brooks, the founder of Atlassian. He says, couldn't be more psyched to welcome Josh and Hirsch and the entire browser company team to Atlassian. With Dia Browser, we're going to collectively redesign the browser to help knowledge workers kick butt in the AI era. It's a mission, a joint mission, a huge mission, and one I couldn't be more excited about joining with this team to get cracking on. Let's go. This just tells me, the most important line here, collectively redesign the browser to help knowledge workers in the AI era.
Yeah. The last option is that it's just it just buys them time to kind of take some more shots on consumer AI, which is clearly a growing category. And Atlassian can underwrite like crazy opportunity more than VCs can. Anyway, we have Dr. Karp. Welcome to the stream. How are you doing? Great to meet you. I'm John.
Happening.
How you doing? We're going to have you hold this microphone.
Great. Where's the camera?
The camera's right there. You can just have a seat wherever you want. What is the big announcement from today? Are you trying to tell more of a story around enterprise with this?
We're kind of not. I think we're just. It's more like we're crushing it.
Yeah.
Everyone tells us to be super modest about 93% growth in the U.S. and 94 rule of 40. They may be redefining the rule to like make sure the other people don't like have to live in shame. Yeah. I keep seeing these articles like in the Wall Street Journal. It's like rule of 40 isn't real. It isn't real. Yeah, it isn't real because we're like crushing everyone.
You were forced to be humble for a really long time.
I was forced. Well, people were showering me with humble nuggets all day. It didn't really exactly work. Yeah. But, I do think you have to judge humility by the delta between performance and ego. Mm-hmm. And I would say somewhat immodestly, I'm the most humble I've ever been. And I think it's like, so what we try to accomplish with, we've been doing these kind of conferences forever. Yeah. Basically, because everything we've done at Palantir is like completely, it's antithetical or at least orthogonal to how you would build a business. Yeah. You guys look at a lot of businesses. You would never build a software downstream from value creation. It's all basically, how do I make the client feel like they're getting laid when they're getting fucked? That's the whole way you build a software business. Yep. In our business, we began in the beginning. I used to tell people, we're a mutually servicing business. Both sides should like be happy. Yeah. And the way we built the business was basically underlying metric. I always thought was, the logic of software should be, we charge you something downstream of value creation. That sum is a percentage of the value we create. It's better for both sides because it's significantly less than the value create. It's good for us because there's a multiple on the value. The flaw in the logic was always that FDE model would basically mean that you'd get a 1 multiple. So we were structurally misaligned with everyone in finance, everyone not at the Founders Fund, but basically everybody else because of that. Now, what we've proven with ontology, FDE structures where FDE are actually technical, and internal orchestration, which is largely artistic, basically was, now we got very lucky because without large language models, this would not be hypercharged. Yeah. So it still didn't exactly make sense, but lo and behold, we have large language models. It hypercharges everything. So downstream value creation is an enormous amount of money. Yeah. And because of our unit economics now, which are, some people believe are the best in the world, we actually get fairly valued. And what are we doing actually downstairs is we're saying, America's central advantage is the plasticity of how we approach the pragmatism, right? Mm-hmm. So businesses have to move from businesses where it made sense to have parasitic software products that are like basically helping you sell. It's like one of these things. It's like you believe you're learning to sell. They're selling you on something that you can't get rid of. Yeah. You then run to Wall Street and say, we have 50,000 clients that all hate us. They're like, great, that's a software business because the hating means they can't get rid of it.
But a platform business means that you're creating more value than you capture.
Well, the way we sell is like, and this is why it's like all these things are hugely contradictory. Our revenue's going up, our sales force is going down. The number of people we plan to have in the future is less than now. We are very focused on, everybody's like high volume. Yeah. The volume makes up for, the fact that revenue decreases per client. We're not focused on that at all. We believe we're going to make more from people in the future than in the past, sizably more, because it's like, why should we not capture part of the value that we help create? Actually, it doesn't have to be the majority. In fact, it's usually the minority of the value you create. We also believe that if from more kind of architectural implementation, technical perspective, the value is in high fidelity data captured in ontology with FDEs, and where there's an enhancing factor with LLMs, and that's going to be very, very hard to replicate. But again, all of this is kind of very non-traditional. And so what we're really doing in these conferences is saying the same thing we say on the outside. Don't believe anything we're saying. Mm-hmm. Talk to other people who have done it. Mm-hmm. we don't chaperone the people here. So they're like, you can talk about things you like, things you don't like.
Yep.
People are on stage, but learn how to build the business of the future. What does the business of the future look like? Actually, the interesting thing is workers become more valuable. Like actually trained workers become more valuable. This is exactly the opposite of what people are saying, but it's true. The person at the top is actually crazy valuable. People with technical expertise are crazy valuable. And everything else is going to be done in Foundry, Ontology, and something like an FDA. So like the orchestration of the business is completely different.
Yeah. Where are Fortune 500 companies getting screwed by these AI pilots? We saw this stat, like 95% of AI trials in the enterprise aren't converting. Like what's going on there? What does it look like when somebody sells someone
Well, I
snake
mean,
oil
there's
in
a
the
technical
enterprise?
reason. These are, LLMs are probabilistic. They're not precise. The value of LLM is when it's essentially in an ontology wrapper, because to actually create value, you have to be able to take the output, serialize it, and deserialize it in the context of the business. So the logic, actions, and security of the business and its tribal knowledge and what it's trying to accomplish. LLMs are vertically crucial, but the error bound is very, very, very narrow. And the way you actually do LLMs in the real world, not in theory, is that you essentially put them in a concatenated chain where each single thing has to be done as a discrete unit, because otherwise the underlying math is 95 times 100 separate chains. It's like totally unreliable. Yeah. And if you do it any other way, you're getting a steak dinner. Yeah. And that steak dinner is super tasty. It's not going to work. And even worse than the steak dinner, honestly, is that you're being taught how to do something incorrectly. It's like, okay, I'm going to learn how to learn from a wokester. Yeah. Great. The damage that wokester's doing, mostly on the left, but occasionally on the right, the real damage they're doing is they're teaching you how not to learn. Like, and if you just pick your favorite person, right, left, center, who's just selling complete garbage. It's all conspiracy, the whole thing. Yeah, there's no such thing as building. There's no such thing as agency. Yep. You can get away with that BS. Well, if you want to, like, Palantir's lifted. One of the things I'm proudest about in the world is we've lifted people from their mom's garage to their own house. Millions of people. You want to stay in that garage, you listen to those people. And it's the same thing happens in enterprise. They're selling you something where you think you're getting laid and you're getting fucked. And that, once you're fucked like that, it's very hard to undo it. Yeah. And the crazy thing about my life is I'm like this wacky dyslexic. It's actually much harder to be dyslexic, but it's also much harder to get fucked because you don't believe you don't believe in any of this BS. It's like,
well, so speaking of sales, there was the CEO, founder CEO of a CRM company that was making some comments yesterday. Did you catch?
I look, Palantir, we structurally mind our own business, and I love that everyone minds our business. But I would say we constantly have people on TV. It always sounds like, the guy in high school who's like, but I'm so nice, why don't I get laid? It's like, it's literally like, it's the same thing. I'm so nice. I create all the value and I'm so nice. I'm begging to get laid and no one, it's like, I have such a big this, I have such a big that. And we're like, yeah, we're not trying, dude, we're here, and yeah.
I don't think about you at all.
It's like, we are very focused on value creation, and we ask to be modestly compensated for that value. And if you disagree, you don't like us as a client, or you love us as a client, but you think it's like, great, we're doing our thing. At Palantir right now in the U.S. is the market that counts. We don't have the people. We don't have the time. We orchestrating completely perfectly at Palantir, which of course we don't do, because we're like an artist colony, right? We don't have the time to actually focus on what we need to extending certain components of ontology we have to do, extending Maven for the sake of the West, building things in classified environments, extending things with high value things. We're focused on that, and we don't have the time. When you're growing 93% off of a very serious base with a de facto de minimis, it's the 93, and that's not even our best number. It's 94% rule of 40. It's like, and then people are like, oh yeah, well, but we have all the skills, we have all the motion, but somehow our ocean isn't working. It's so big, but it's not. It's like, yeah, great. You have problems you have time to focus on us. We got things to focus on here that are crucial.
Yeah, you guys are. It feels like you're reacting to the changing world and actual customer needs, whereas other players are reacting to
Let me give you a more kind of slightly philosophical economic thing. What the large language model models do in combination with ontology and FDEs and knowing what you're doing, is it creates Pareto optimality over time. We're not there exactly, but every single tech company in the world is going to be paid based on value creation. Maybe that's not completely true today. It will be true tomorrow. Mm-hmm. So when any company is saying something, you really have to ask, given that the aspiration of LLMs are transparency and competence, broadly defined. They've actually, the big cultural shift on enterprises, people running enterprises believe that this thing should work. I should know the cost of the components in my business to the second. I should know how to rebuild things if there's a macroeconomic situation. I should be able to put the bomb on your head and not on his head. Okay, so that basically means every conversation in the future is going to be, you create X value, I'm going to pay you Y. And the central problem a lot of the larger kind of less agile, sclerotic companies have is it's like they can't, it's very hard to move from I get paid because you can't get rid of me to I get paid because you could get rid of me, but you don't want to because you're creating so much value. But that's where the future is going. And like people talk about like, how are we going to, do 10x in revenue, blah, 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 with the same or less people. It's like, yes, but the whole market's going to have to move to value creation. And we're in the business of that and try to do it. It's not.
Yeah. Do you think long term that the gross margins of software companies will change materially because of like LLM inference costs, like token factory costs, that type of thing?
Well, you mean like enterprise software companies?
Yeah, if I look at like the Fortune 500 right now, there's like a set number of gross margin that's out there. Should we expect like gross margin compression based on AI bills, basically?
Well, first of all, I think let me just give you the trends. I think first of all, skilled workers are going to become more valuable.
Sure.
You're going to be paying them more. They're going to be happier. It's downstream politically. It's very hard to argue for anything but high-end immigration. So like, why do you need more people? Like we got to make the people we have here work.
Yep.
So like politically, it's like, I'm an unhappy Democrat, but running around saying, oh, crime isn't an issue when everyone knows crime is an issue is like, it's like suicidal BS and no one believes it. And now that wokeism is luckily mostly, at least in that way, not as punishing, we can all just admit the obvious. Yeah. So like transparency is going to be like, so the people are like, workers are going to become more expensive. The overhead's going to become less. Truly, basically, artist-shaped people are going to be incredibly valuable and they're going to demand to be very highly paid. So, but the aggregate cost structure will come down, but more importantly, the products you build are going to be much closer to what the market wants in real time. Yeah. And then again, just an obvious thing, this is happening like we have 10x growth in America compared to Europe. Same people, same products, same everything. So it's like, and then the other thing, the point that's a little less obvious that I think people ignore is time is not time. We always assume a minute of time is a minute of time. It's not. Like, it's like from the time you want to do something to the time it happens. If that's 10% of the time, you just got a 10x. So it's like, it's like Palantir's not these kind of atrophied companies. It takes them 3 years, 5 years to get a year. It takes us a week to get a year. So it's like, it's like that's actually what explains the numbers in a weird way is, yes, but what if 5 years represents 40 years? Yeah. What if I'm saying in the next 5 years? It's like the whole problem with the DCF model actually that experts love is A, they don't understand product. And then B, they kind of extend the DCF if they like you. So it's like, oh, I like the person. The DCF is super long. Yeah, it's like, give them an extra decade of steak dinners. But the real problem that they somehow don't understand in the DCF amount is a year is not a year for Palantir. Yeah. Like a year is like, we don't do holidays. I'm working all the time. I'm orchestrating. Sure. Honestly, I sometimes hate the enemies of Palantir, but God, do they get me to go back to orchestration? Because I'm going to fuck these people. and the basic way I'm going to do it is, going back to like, dyslexic, like organization, orchestration of we're going to have the best products, the best people. I'm going to recruit those people. I'm going to make sure they're the most valuable, and I'm going to put them in enterprises that value us. And if you don't value us, go work with the people that hate us. Try them out.
Yeah. Do you have advice for young people? I mean, you said like artist-like people, not literally artists.
Yeah, and you said the company is like an artist colony.
Yeah. Can you just become an artist if you're a young person?
People underestimate like their artistry because like from a young age, you get huge benefits for conforming. And you can say, well, I don't. I mean, the essential advantage of being dyslexic, we can't conform.
Yeah.
So that ends up being a huge, because you just can't. So you're going to have to, so your basic thing you have to emerge, do not conform. And by the way, the people who are telling you simplistic bullshit, that means, like meritocracy isn't going to matter, you're not going to judge, all these conspiracies, you can't do wealth accumulation if you're in this country, like in America. I think actually a lot of these things are true in other countries. But in this country, they're teaching you how not to learn, how to be complacent, how to give up your agency, how to fail, and how to blame it on anyone else. And if you're, so you have to says like all
reject that.
Yeah, reject that. That's kind of, and then you have to really, really look at people and judge them by their fruits. The best way to learn is to look at somebody and say, okay, well, it's like, you work with somebody like the co-founding team at Palantir. So you have Peter, Joe, Stefan, Nathan. Like part of what made us so good is it's like, okay, you can measure yourself. It's like, when I started at Palantir, I actually because I just wanted to be left alone. I was like, yeah, I'm going to make some money. I'm going to move to Berlin. I'm going to live a debaucherous life. That was my goal. Like, I'm moving to Berlin. I thought I needed 250K. I was like, 250K is a minimum, $1 million a maximum. Yeah. I'm moving to Berlin. I'm going to like debauchery forever.
Bergheim.
And well, I had to so it's and then
set up a remote office
but like you then measure yourself and it's like, okay, well, I'm highly differentiated on managing complicated people who have to believe their opinion is their opinion, but still have to build a product that actually delivers value. That's my differentiation. And so like you surround yourself, and then you have to remember the being persuasive and being right are not correlated. So you have to really look at people who are historically right, rebuttably give them the rebuttable presumption that they are right, and work back to discover if they're right or wrong. Not just, and all these things. And like, for example, on the Palantir thing, is a great lesson. Go listen to our critics, whatever critic you love. We're a conspiracy theory. So like you could take the left-wing version, which is like Palantir is stripping you of your civil liberties, which some people on the right believe. Palantir is a Jewish conspiracy run by a mutt. Somehow, okay, whatever. It's like, okay, well, go. Actually, how does the product work? Does the product protect data? How does it protect it? Is it better than any other company in the world at doing this? How do you build a company? Do you think it's just like an allocation based on a conspiracy? Why did we work?
Yeah, just pick your conspiracy and that's the strategy.
Yeah, and then unpack it and learn for yourself. Like, did this work? How did this work? How did they do it? Assume that at every single decision, if it was a decision anyone else would have made, you would not have worked, because that's a commodity. Commodities aren't valuable. And then apply that to your life. What part of this do you understand? Like, what part do you not understand? What part do you understand better than them? What part could you do better than them? And the weird thing about LLM, ontology, Foundry is this actually will work for anyone watching this podcast. Like if you're watching this podcast and you enjoy this, you've already passed the test. I don't care whether you're a welder, a plumber, a carpenter, an astrophysicist, or somebody who'd like to build a business, or just want to get rich, or you want to get enough money and move to somewhere and do what I want to do.
Berlin.
Germany.
It's not the right place anymore. But any case, but you've already passed that test. Now go out and pass the test for life.
You said Germany's not the right place anymore. Like, what is your current mental model for the state of the world order? Like, is America in decline? Do we need to bring things back? Like, who are the power players? What's
America is power player number one right now, and like all this media BS. It's like you got to compare America to, and you can't compare America to something you're pretending in your head could be America. Compare it to Europe. Compare. I don't know. What, you want to compare it to China? Like you want to have no rights? I mean, again, I'm actually not anti-Chinese culture, but CCP. It's like compare it to Europe. Like no tech industry. Everyone rich was born rich, basically, or with almost no exceptions. The most important Germanic company, I hope someone from Germany is listening to this, kommt aus Palo Alto, is Peter Thiel und ich. So it's like the only German company since SAP that's real.
SAP,
and they won't listen to us. Like, just think about that. You have Peter Thiel, like the most important venture person maybe that's ever lived, co-founder of Palantir, and you have me. It was like somewhat, basic, partially Germanics, did my PhD in German, and you have no tech industry. Wouldn't you have us on fucking speed dial?
Yeah.
I mean, like on speed dial. Like, you don't have to listen to what we're saying. You don't have to agree with what we're saying. Who are you talking to? Who are you talking to? You're talking to your, like, I don't know, expert that came here and studied us.
Trust the experts.
Yeah, trust the experts. It's like, so it's like energy. Like we're
Do you
like,
think they will? Do you think that there's optimism around the idea of like
You'd still
somebody
pick up the phone
shifting?
call, right?
oh no,
Because they could just
I pick
start
up. I mean, I
calling
pick
you.
up. It's crazy who
Yeah.
calls me. It's like it's honestly like I can't talk out of school. Calls me. You'd be surprised the number of people come, and I begin every call with, "Don't listen to me."
Yeah.
Very few people have.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you the freak show answer. You probably want to ignore it.
Yeah.
This is what I think, and they're like, "Huh? Okay, yeah, okay." Some call back, some don't. But yeah, of course, I would. I mean, I have a lot of. I mean, like honestly, we have a huge retail. We have a crazy thing about Germany is a huge retail investor base.
Sure.
They don't admit it in public, but in private, they're like, "Keep going, keep
they're
going."
long.
But yeah, no, I'm just saying. The point I'm saying is, you know, it's like, so then it's like energy, technical talent, understanding how to manage the technical talent. It's that's an art. Like we have the right venture people, the right entrepreneurs, the right spirit. We have generations of people who are entrepreneurial here. It's like
no
kind of
tall poppy syndrome.
yeah.
either.
Well,
That
yeah,
affects
well,
a lot of
it's funny you
countries.
mentioned that. That's we're very well. This is the thing, we have to fight for this.
Yeah.
Because that no tall pop, what that basically means, in every, people may not realize this, but in every other culture I know of, and I lived abroad in Germany, Europe, incredible cultures.
Mm-hmm.
But if your head sticks above the line, it gets cut off.
Yep.
There's one culture where that doesn't happen. It's here. The only thing is we have to fight for that, because the thing that unifies the woke left and the woke right is they don't like the consequences of meritocracy. They want to work back to the inputs. So, and that like just will screw society. It's like you've got to be able to allow people to succeed wherever they go. Now, I was kind of still progressive, even though I believes it. I super would like the inputs to be fair.
Yeah.
But the outputs, those are the outputs.
Yep.
It's the
my
result
friends.
of freedom.
Okay, last
the result of
question. We
freedom.
got to get you out of here.
I'm being
I
pulled.
walked by your office. There were some kettlebells. What are the kettlebells for?
Oh, okay. Well, this is slightly long. I'll give you a short version.
Please.
So to be a cross-country skier, you've got to train year-round.
Yeah.
So you need substantial VO2 max, and actually you need to be strong per unit of weight. Sure. So as an example, I do 3 days a week of kind of above and below lactate threshold running, but mostly pretty far, and then once a week kind of at.
Yeah.
And then I do 2 days of strength, 1 day of like endurance strength. And currently, the thing I'm actually really proud of is I just started doing hang from a bar as a dead hang like 4 months ago, and I hit 4 minutes and 36
4
seconds.
minutes and
There we
30
go.
seconds.
There we
4
go.
minutes and 36 seconds.
What's the goal for the end of the year?
What do we do?
Well, actually, my goal for the you gotta
gotta hit the
times.
soundboard.
This isn't just money. This is no. I mean, my goal for the year was for actually the next 12 months was 4 minutes.
Okay.
But then there's
That's
the
fantastic.
number.
So we got to
two-
get those numbers up.
Yeah. Well, no, but the number two, the second best mountain climber in Norway.
Yeah.
I don't know if we know his name, but I have a picture. He did 4 minutes and 22 seconds. So I
Ooh,
had-
there you
Okay,
go.
that's
There you
just-
go.
What can I do?
Well,
So-
thank
Did
you
it
so
part-time.
much for your time. This was
Thank you
fantastic.
for having us.
Bye.
Appreciate your work.
We'll talk to you soon. Have a great rest of your day. Congrats.
Yeah, you too. Congrats to you guys.
Thank you. Thank you. We will bring in our next guest in just a few minutes. We have
Can you
Danny
imagine?
from
Can you imagine
Palantir.
the Fortune 500 CEOs that just want a meeting with Dr. Karp just to get energized?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like they don't.
Just
They're like,
him
I'll
up on
pay for the
stage.
steak dinner, even though you're selling to me. I'll pay for the steak. You bring the energy.
Yeah, who pays for the steak dinner? Fantastic. Well, I believe we have our next guest pretty much ready. Ben Harvatine from Palantir, forward deployed engineer that has been at Palantir for nearly 8 years. What was
So many good quotes in there. I don't take holidays off.
I don't
Dr.
take holidays off. Oh yeah, the team is getting ready to post. Anyway,
I'm excited for this one.
Ben,
Welcome to the show.
good to have you.
Good to have you.
We are going to have you hold this microphone as much as you can. But why don't you kick us off with an introduction on yourself and kind of, I'd love to know how you found your way to Palantir. That'd be super interesting.
Yeah, it's kind of an odd path.
Yeah.
I studied mechanical engineering and
Sure.
architecture in college, so not what you would
Not
think for a software
right?
company.
Yeah.
Worked for Anheuser-Busch
Oh, no way.
beer
Very cool.
company for a year. That was a
Awesome.
great sort of transition from college
Beer
life to
technology.
adult life.
What were you doing at Anheuser-Busch?
Yeah, it was a management training program,
Okay, sure.
rotation based. So
Yeah.
after that, ran
Very
a hardware
American.
startup for a bit.
Okay.
Went to another hardware startup. But I had some buddies from college who had worked here, and
Cool.
thing about Palantir seemed like everybody had just kind of like more autonomy and authority than I saw anywhere else.
Yeah. Yeah, amazing. So what do you want to show us today? Can you give us a little tour of what's going on?
I've got a little kind of
Brought a
toy
robot.
demo that I'll
Yeah, one robot.
slide in.
This is fun.
Bringing a robot is a great sign of respect in our culture, by the way.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
thank you.
Well, you can imagine,
Okay.
when we have, events like this, there are a lot of demos. It's pretty screen heavy
Yep,
with,
totally.
with software stuff.
Yep.
And we've seen a lot of, I'd say, like increasing demand for our edge offerings and
Yes.
hardware offerings. We're really trying to push the technology further and further down to the shop floor
Yeah.
and into the field. And so I wanted to put together something, just a little kind of toy demo that made that a little bit more tangible for people who are here.
Yep. So walk me from my understanding to how we get to the edge, how we get to robotics, because my famous, like the case study that comes to my mind for Palantir in terms of like making things in the physical world is like, I think the Airbus example. So and whenever somebody says, oh, what does Palantir do? I'm like, okay, imagine a plane. There's a bunch of different parts. You got to have a certain amount of seatbelts. You got to have a certain amount of engines. You got to have a certain amount of fuel lines. You got to have a certain amount of chairs. And all those come from different places. And they all have different lead times and strengths. And they need different safety requirements. Did they get checked off? And so you put all of that, instead of just in a loose database, you put it in a database, but then you have Palantir that's actually tying everything together. So you know if there's a lead time on engines, you need to order more seatbelts in 3 weeks instead of 2 weeks. Yeah. And that's kind of how I explain Palantir in terms of like, make a big thing that's complex. Is that roughly right? And then how do you walk from that to like, we need Palantir to somehow interface with like a robotic arm?
Yep. Yeah, I mean, that's roughly right. Like the way I think about it, it's like anywhere you go, people have data scattered all over the place.
Yeah.
So the first step is, can we get that all into one place?
Got it.
Then can we model that data so it's as easy to work with it as it is to talk about the concepts that it represents?
Yeah.
Right? Just like make it kind of...
So there's this big meme in Silicon Valley and defense tech right now that like there's a whole host of manufacturing guys. They're all aging out. They're 65. And everything that they know about how to make a widget, whether it's a chair or a rocket motor, it's in their head. They haven't written it down. Maybe it's some loose notebooks. And so this is kind of a way to jump and start getting more data online, right? We're actually not throwing out the data, we're capturing it.
Correct. Yeah. And really, like the whole point of any of these data exercises is you just want to put the right data in front of the right person at the right time to make the right decision.
Yep.
And then just be able to close the loop and learn from it. And so if you're looking across a supply chain, that's how you do it. If you go down to a factory floor, the process is there. That's how you do it. And so when it comes to this robot, we're basically just like pushing that edge further. So instead of popping up an alert on a screen that tells somebody to go do something, what if you could actually just tell the robot to go do it?
Okay.
So again, sort of a simple like toy example here, but the basic idea is that this is a little work cell that we made with a robot arm and a camera.
You 3D printed, right?
Yeah, it's all 3D printed.
Even the arms are 3D? Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't realize that.
Yep.
Cool.
And so it's kind of set up to be a dumb terminal that kind of works and looks like the robot arms you'd see on a factory floor.
Yep.
You can give it moves to take. Maybe you can ask it for a picture, but past that, it's not doing any heavy computation on board. But then you can push that data to an edge hub that can run embedded models, can run embedded ontology. So you can actually take that kind of model of the world in terms of objects, relationships, actions, and models, and you can push that down to the edge. And even if you have, say, like a network sparse environment where you don't have that real time uplink to the cloud, you can continue to run off of that ontology.
Yeah, we were looking at semi-analysis. They put the 5 levels of robotics. I forget exactly how many levels there were, but they were trying to map the self-driving car analogy to physical robotics. And I believe like level 0 or level 1, like the most basic was you have a pre-programmed robotic arm that's doing the exact same move. It's taking the windshield and putting it on the F-150. And it's this huge arm, and you can't go near it because there's no cameras on it whatsoever. And if you step in that work cell, it will kill you if you're not careful. And this seems like a step towards like level 2. We're able to actually understand what different products mean. If there's, this type of product shows up, there's going to be more likely that there's a defect or you need to adjust what the robot is doing. How can you actually get that data into something that's actionable?
Yeah, and even in like this simple demo, we've got, it'll trigger alerts on, it tries to execute a move and you end up with like a block like jammed up here.
It'll realize
it'll say, okay, you got a jammed hopper. You need to clear it, that sort of stuff.
Okay. Interesting. Where does this play in like the stack of other software? I know when we talked to, what was it, Dirac, our buddy Phil, he was saying that like he's working with automotive companies, but then they also have there's a lot of like lower level control software on machine lines. Some of that's from German companies that I think we just talked about with Dr. Karp. But like, where do you see Palantir playing in the stack? You have a bunch of data, the database, you put Palantir on top, but then at a certain point, there might be some robotics company that makes the robot, and then they also might have some control software with kind of a messy API or something like that.
Yeah, I think we can be pretty agnostic about how far up or down the stack we go. So we've got, I'll pull this box out.
Yeah, please. This is the node that goes on the edge, right? So this is
so this is an example of an edge node that one of our partners, Edge Scale, makes.
Okay.
So this is that box that you can stick in the closet in the factory. Network to those existing machines that you have on the floor if you just need a turnkey solution. And then I think at the other end of the extreme, that's where we've got something like this, where this really, at the end of the day, is an ontology-defined piece of hardware in that the machine itself, its entire configuration, the state machine is running, everything about it is defined in the ontology, lives in the ontology, and it's like really just like a bespoke piece of hardware running that ontology native software.
It's a monument.
So you know, if you've got like more nascent operations, more greenfield operations, you think about some of the companies we work with in defense tech. It's like they can go all the way down the stack if they want to. For some of the the larger, more established customers that we're working with, you know, the plug and play solution.
What's the sweet spot for the specs on an edge scale, like edge node, like something on the edge?
I think
do you need to be running like a large language model that feels like something that you could do on
I'd say it depends on the application. Like we've done some like examples of that, even like previous AIPcons, where it's like, do we need the like the local app served up with a chat bot for the line operator who can just be like, what's going on?
And it just talks to you. And it's not just purely deterministic. Okay, if the block is blocked, then send the error message. Instead, it's actually interpreting a bunch of data in a kind of a non-deterministic way.
So I'd say it's like, I think like anything, it really depends on the application and the users. Because again, there are a lot of guys that are working on these lines, guys and girls, where they don't need another screen in their life. And so it's really finding like what's the right way to interface with those operators to ultimately just drive the better decision making.
How much is what is the role of the FDE in this kind of new era, new territory? Because it feels like
are you graduated from being an FDE yet, or is it once an FDE, always an FDE?
I think it's once an FDE, always an FDE. I try to keep my hands on keyboard as often as I can still. Still flying out to whatever axle factories in rural Kentucky or whatever.
That's awesome.
I think the closer you can stay to that stuff, the better. I think really like the role of the FDE is like, just like it always has been, go on site with the customer. Don't just understand, but internalize their problems, their challenges, and solve.
Go create some value. Well, thank you so much for hopping on the stream. We appreciate having you. Congratulations on everything.
Thanks for bringing your baby.
You can definitely take this out. Here, I will grab this, and we will have our next guest, Danny Lutkus from Palantir, coming in. He also has a demo. Do you guys know if the demo is going to need the HDMI cable? Is that right? Okay, so we will bring in Danny whenever you get a chance. Let's bring in our next guest to AIPCon.
Here he is. What's going on? Welcome to the show. How are you? Great to have you.
Did you need HDMI cable to do a live demo? Always. That is bold. Doing a demo is on a live stream. This is
not
live.
For the week.
So literally anything you share on your screen potentially will go out to the internet forever to be baked into the future super intelligence. Baked into the training models of the future, into the pre-training data. So be very careful. Don't leak anything. But introduce yourself. Tell us what you're going to show us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Microphone?
Oh yeah, sorry.
I'm dumb. My bad.
What's going on, guys? My name's Danny. Let's see here. I'm an engineer at Palantir. I've been at Palantir for about 12 years. In terms of like my role, it's hard to describe. Like I'm sure everyone at Palantir said that. I guess like if I had a role or a title, I do a lot of our business in the Midwest at this point. First 6 years at Palantir, I was on the government side. I did work with Department of Justice, U.S. Special Operations, CIA, National Counterterrorism Center. After my wife and I had our first kid, she was like, hey, could you not go to weird places in the world anymore? And I was like, totally reasonable.
Reasonable request.
We moved back to the Midwest, and I switched over to the commercial side, and that's kind of like what I do now is like grow our business in the Midwest.
What's a like just line drive solution that you like, just total wheelhouse solution for I imagine like a large enterprise customer in the Midwest?
Yeah. What I focus on a lot is manufacturing in the Midwest. So you can there's huge manufacturers in the Midwest, whether that's like Johnson Controls or Eaton or Molson Coors, Cummins Engine.
So it's a widgets factory.
Yeah.
They're making widgets, they're buying parts, they're assembling them, and you have to understand the flow rate. Where's the rate limiting factor? How can we increase flow?
This is where I think we have the most differentiation from a product perspective, because it's like I can actually affect the physical world, and then I can measure how I affect it, and then I can learn and improve how I affect the physical world the next time, right? Whether that's like, hey, I'm in supply chain and I'm short on inventory, like how do I solve that problem in the most effective and optimized way, versus like I'm trying to manufacture something and like how do I make sure my machines are running, I have the right labor, I'm trying to do the right thing. And so like the real magic behind all this too is like these, yes, they start off as like singular use cases that are like pretty great, like straight shot. But then like when you start to connect these workflows together and it's like, oh, the machine's down, like, and I have this material, like what do I do and how do I go do it?
What do you want us to show us today?
Oh, yeah,
I can kind of hold this for you if you want.
So
we getting good sound on this? Okay, cool. Yeah, walk us through it.
What I was going to demo is, I think like one of the interesting things, and I'm sure you've like talked to a lot of different Palantirians today, is like we are never going to purport to be like a strategy consulting type of thing when we engage with customers. Like we're never going to purport to be like, oh, like hey, we're experts in X, Y, or Z. And the great thing about that, right, is like we're true to like who we are. The bad thing about that, right, is like companies will identify, and the organizations that we that we work with will identify like, hey, I know this is a problem, right? But like there's a huge amount of time between like, hey, there's a problem, and then let's go like implement a solution. And the dependencies on actually getting to that faster are like, I have the internal SMEs that can actually like understand the problem and come up with the right solution and do the feasibility and all that great stuff. Or I go work with like strategy consulting. I pay millions and millions of dollars to get a deck that tells me like, hey, this is the solution that we think you should employ with the right like ROI in this approach, and we've done this feasibility study and we think that you should go do that. And so like we find that as a huge impediment to like our own growth, right? Like why should I wait months?
Yeah, you don't want them to go spend millions of dollars with some random group to then recommend a Palantir product.
That's 100% right. And so like what we've been exploring more is just like, well, why can't I use AI to do that? Like why can't I like give a fairly haphazard business, like a description of business problem, and use agents essentially to like structure that into a better business problem description, to do the necessary research about like what are the potential solutions of things that I could and should deploy to go solve this problem. Can I generate ideas with all the requisites of how I actually employ those ideas, and actually generate a proposal where then I also have like agents as critiques on that proposal to be like, is this technologically feasible? Is this like financially feasible? All the things that you would expect like strategy consultants to do for you, like I should just be able to do that in a day and come up with a proposal. But then like, I don't know if you guys have talked to anyone about AI FDE, but then like I should just then be able to use the output of like this to then go build it.
Yeah.
Like I should just be able to say like, cool, here's the solution I need to go build, input into AI FDE, build it, right? And go from like, you know, what would have taken 6 or 9 months until we ever get engaged to like, well, I think this is a problem, like, let's just go do it like in the next week, right? Okay. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. I have some follow-up questions, but maybe jump into the demo first.
Cool.
I think like my immediate, I guess, question, maybe it's relevant, is like how do you ensure kind of quality, right? Because like you didn't say this, but like someone else in another context might call this like vibe coding, right? Like, sort of like generating like a deep research report on like a problem and a potential solution, and then like, you know, sort of prompting your way to an implementation.
Totally.
And today, you know, just like code quality and product quality ends up popping up, but I'm sure that you're already thinking about that.
my take on this is like when you start doing anything with AI or large language models, like there has to be a human in the loop, right? Not only to make sure that quality is coming out of the other side, but also to ensure feedback loops are occurring and right. And then you can take that context and start getting closer and closer to a Jesus take the wheel moment, where you actually have built trust. Because like part of this is not actually like I think a technology problem. It's like a people and process problem where like people actually build trust in it, and also you get all the tribal knowledge that's not in any system actually incorporated in some knowledge context that you can start to build off of over time. But I think that's the trick is like humans always have to be in the loop, right? Yeah. To begin, but then like you build trust until you actually do the Jesus take the wheel moment.
Yeah. So with this demo, what is is it designed as like an internal tool or something that you would actually serve out?
A lot of our customers are starting to use this to start to shorten the cycle time of going from like initial problem identification to implementation. So like,
and is that for customers that are already using Palantir?
Yeah. So like we've started using this primarily with like a lot of existing customers, right? But then the cool thing about it is I don't know if you guys have heard where like all of the things I'm going to show you are kind of like native components of the platform. But then we've developed this capability where we can say like, hey, this is actually a really repeatable workflow. What if we package this up and then just it's way easier to deploy where we can just be like deploy there, deploy anywhere, basically.
Cool. Yeah. So walk us through it.
Pull it up and maybe bring it a little bit closer. So
so you guys can actually see it.
Can you share your whole screen?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay, ready?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's do it.
No
Here we go.
embarrassing text messages or anything like that. All right, cool. I used to work in the aviation space a lot, and I fly in and out of Newark, which, like, if you guys do that, you know that's a real pain in the ass.
Yeah.
So let's start there. Let's just say like,
Let's redesign.
hey, I'm a. Oh yeah, for sure. Go ahead. So like the problem that I'll type in basically is like, hey, I'm an aviation expert. Like, we're seeing significant delays around like Newark Airport because there's not enough runways and the runways are too short. Like, what should I do to optimize my flow?
Okay.
Basically to solve this problem.
Sure.
So like, now you guys get to see me type, which is always fun.
Yeah, this is interesting. But a ton of questions.
I've
about
always
what's going
wanted to
on under the hood.
redesign the LAX
the U
streets. The flow of traffic.
Yeah, that is a wild choice by LAX. Just constant traffic. It wasn't too bad this morning, fortunately, but we did have a funny incident with a member of our team who first day.
John arrived, got through security.
Oh yeah,
and almost managed to miss his flight because he was getting a breakfast
by a former guest and friend of the show.
I would called and texted and said,
well, this is no time to take shots at the dyslexic. He had missed. he had made a mistake and confused gate 9 for gate 6.
Right.
And there is no gate 6 at this particular terminal.
Anyways,
so we headed to a different terminal.
Thank you for covering.
Of course.
Everyone, yeah. So it doesn't have to be. So right now, I typed in pretty rough problem statement. I'm an aviation expert. I want to solve problems around EWR airport.
Yep.
There are too few runways and the runways are too short. How do I optimize traffic flow around it to minimize disruptions?
Okay.
So that's kind of like the first point. And what's happening here is like the first set of agents is basically taking that as a problem description and actually like putting more structure around it. So it's not like my, my like misspelled problem statement.
Yeah, of course. Like cleaning it up.
It's like a prompt engineer. Effectively,
that's right.
Working
that's
around.
Right. And so you, on the left side of the screen, you can actually see some of the logic of like what happened, the train of thought here of like, hey, here's the problem statement. I can see the system prompt, like what the task prompt is, what the LLM like responded to when they saw this, to them actually then creating and structuring this problem, which is like, hey, the core objective is I want to optimize air traffic flow around Newark Liberty International Airport to minimize disruptions, delays, and inefficiencies. It puts out like key requirements, like prioritize aviation safety standards. It gives out constraints.
Nathan Fielder would be happy to hear that.
Right. It gives out constraints like limited number of existing runways, restrict simultaneous operations, et cetera, et cetera. So like this looks pretty good to me, like as the initial problem description. way better than like the gobbledygook like 2-sentence thing that I did. So now I want to like start to get into the phase of like actually starting to do research on this to say like what are potential tools, what are potential approaches to actually solve this problem.
Yep.
And so what's happening right now is like now we're going into kicking off into more of like an agent.
Yeah, just branching a bunch of agents to go do deep research.
And so exactly. Yeah. So like now on the screen, I can see that same like core objective function over on the left.
Like what it's working towards.
Yep. And then I can start to see as it's running on the left, like research topics as it's doing research pop up and modeling. This is all built in like native Foundry tooling.
Sure.
How inference heavy is this? Because it feels like it's going to town right now.
Yeah. I'll show you kind of like the under of how we're actually doing the research.
Yeah, it is a unique. Like I don't know, like problem set, because it's like going to town is something we worry about when we're talking about like, oh yeah, you have 1 billion consumers and $10 really adds up.
Yeah.
But if it's like
a problem as
like,
important as this,
if you're talking about optimizing an airport, I think I can deal with $100 inference bill.
Yeah.
I'm going to be okay with that
for sure. So the other thing that I think is interesting here is that like I think agent is like there are a lot of definitions for what an agent is. Sure. I think at this point in time, like one definition is like. And this was like kind of our first approach was like, hey, let's build a set of logic that an LLM actually orchestrates different parts of that logic between, and it can use tools like deterministic tools, or it can write back, or it can access and query things to ultimately do some type of automation. Yeah. I think the other definition of like what an agent right now is like more of a chat interface. Yeah. And then in that regard, right, like I want to be able to give that chat interface like access to tools, right? And so in this case, like what I've given the agent access to is a bunch of different tools. First, like I can see the model that I'm using behind the screen here, and like from our perspective, like we think the models are mostly like commoditized at this point. There might be certain models that are better at different things, and you actually probably want to use these things interchangeably and actually have an evaluation framework that based on the task that you're asking it to do will like select the right model for that particular task. But in this case, right, I'm using Grok 4. And then like for the tools in particular, like I've given it access to like conduct research. So I've given it some ways in which it can actually reach out and use different either internal or proprietary information of the organization that we're working with, or reach out and use something like Perplexity to do like more AI-based search. I've given it the ability to like create code blocks. If it's like coming up with an ROI and it needs to do napkin math, like I want to say like, I want you to allow you to actually like generate the code, but also then run the code to see like what the result is.
And then, I mean, it seems like all of this is kind of like frontier level, but available broadly. But the Palantir value is that you actually have like data that isn't just available on the web. And so like if I'm actually an airport and I actually have specific data
like
about,
if you have schematics,
the thing that stands out to me is like if you're a large enterprise, you want to work with Foundry and have that ability to be model agnostic. And like where does the leverage flow in that situation where when Foundry can just sort of decide on the fly what form of intelligence do I want to use for this problem set.
Very cool.
So I can see like kind of like the train of thought on the right, like what it's doing. And so it's already using the research kind of tool, and you can already see the research topics starting to like pop up here. So like this is an example of an application, right, that like a user would use. They know nothing about Foundry, right? They're logging into an application. Their job is to like go do this thing, right? But then behind the scenes, you have a lot of different options for how you're setting up this logic. Sure. I don't know how much you guys have seen Foundry, but this is an example of what we call AIP logic. I could write all of this orchestration in code if I wanted to. I'm fairly lazy, so I use the lower code tool, which is AIP logic. And so here I can just like set up a bunch of different orchestrations for how I want a function to run. In this case, I'm putting in inputs for what I want the query to be, which is around like that problem statement we talked about. And I'm setting up functions for how it can like reach out to different types of sources. So like the first one is like if I had an internal kind of like proprietary information on schematics of a runway or planes or what types of runways planes can land on, things like that. Like that's all information that then I can make available to the LLM to go do a combination of like semantic and keyword search against it to find the right information to go do research against. But then like as a backfall, then I'm just like also giving it access to go and query Perplexity, right? And go say like, hey, go find what's out, what else is out on the internet to actually go do this research about this particular problem, right? And then bring that back. And then the last part of this is like an action then to like go capture all that information and store it back into the ontology layer in Foundry.
Awesome.
So this is kind of like what it's doing live is like,
it's still working.
It's working, like, and it's writing as it's doing research, right? So it's like, what is the current runway configuration, operational capacities, and key limitations at EWR, including details on runway lengths, numbers, and how they impact aircraft operations.
Sure.
And so then it actually gives me like, this is pretty good information. It'll cite the sources where it's coming from and everything like that, right?
Yeah.
What are effective non-infrastructure strategies for optimizing airport throughput, right? And so in this case, right, it's actually saying like, hey, there's this performance-based navigation as a cornerstone, right?
Yeah, I remember hearing that if you have the plane board from the back to the front, it'll load way faster. But no one wants to do that because
it's a business model thing.
Yeah, because people pay to be at the front of the plane and they want to get on the plane first. But if there was another proposal that was like load all the passengers that have window seats, then all the passengers that have middle seats, and then all the passengers that have aisle seats, and they all kind of just flow in. No one's quite figured that out, but yeah, I mean, I could imagine that it could come up with a bunch of different
100%.
proposals for similar, just kind of like rethinking of the flow of traffic. That's cool.
I think we're getting short on time here.
We
one
are
question.
Let me like zoom forward. I'll show you kind of like an end product here,
please.
Which is like, let's go. I already ran this today.
Of course.
I was like hanging out with the American Airlines guys because like we were making fun of EWR,
as one
which
does.
is not their hub. But yeah, this is like an idea that it generates, and then like I get a summary of what that idea is, and then it automatically develops critique agents that are like looking and evaluating on different type of like different criteria, right? Which is like, hey, what's the risk assessment and mitigation evaluation? What's the economic feasibility of actually doing this? Like, what is the safety and regulatory compliance evaluation? And then it's going to run like those evaluations using that agent as like a task criteria to actually then say like, I can see the guidance that we gave the agent, right? And its task. And then it has to go evaluate to see if it makes sense from that perspective, right? And it even like generates its own models and its own code to say like, hey, is this feasible from like, can I do basically like napkin math and say like, can I come up with like how I could calculate this and actually go and like run and see what
how close is this output, do you think, to what a larger
strategy?
I think it's like pretty aligned, right? Because like in normal times, like these strategy consulting firms aren't getting access to all the data, and so they're like being like, okay, come up with the idea, do the research, generate the idea,
guess a little bit,
then like I need to do some napkin math on like how I would think about actually like critiquing this idea, and then ultimately like I need to come up with a proposal, right? And here's like the end proposal for what I think you should go do. Same framework where I have agents then writing portions of that proposal. And then from there, right, it's just like copy paste that proposal in the AI FDE and like start building, right?
Last quick question. Are you feeling the reindustrialization yet? Are you seeing new entrants into the Midwest building things, or is it more legacy players just trying to increase?
I think it's legacy. A lot of what I work with are companies like Eaton, which are like 100-year-old companies, or like Johnson Controls, 100-year-old companies that are saying like, how do I actually use this as an advantage to do better, right? Like, and that's like where I think is interesting is that like maybe 5 years ago this was really hard. Like people were like, yeah, I don't trust it or I don't believe in it. I think now what's interesting is they're like, I trust it. Let's go. Like it's just
you can sit down and give them a demo.
That's right. That's right.
Well, thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks so much for joining.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Brave to do a live demo.
Our next
Takes guts.
Yeah, great.
Thank you so much.
Hey, great work.
I'm
a listener. So,
thank you.
Yeah,
love it.
Have a great rest of the conference.
Thanks for tuning in.
See y'all.
You're the man.
And we will bring in our next guest, Jonathan Webb. from the nuclear
Man himself. Welcome.
Yeah.
Sorry to keep you waiting.
I'm John.
Today is a great name to have a company that starts with the.
Yes,
I don't know if you saw the browser company. Nice
so
acquisition.
the Free Press sold for $200 million. The browser company sold for $620 million. Everyone is all in on companies that start with the today.
There we go.
But give us the intro on the nuclear company. What's the plan and where are you in that plan?
What's the plan? So to my understanding, we're the only company in the Western world focused on the deployment of new nuclear. What does that mean? I assume some of your communities probably followed the nuclear industry a little bit. Yeah. I mean, there's no AI without power. Yeah. I just talked in that talk earlier about, China is about to pass the U.S. as the largest nuclear power in the world. Yeah. Our thesis is the reactor is not the problem. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of legacy reactors that are operating in the U.S. They're some of the best performing reactors on planet Earth. There's a lot of startups, dozens, designing new reactors that are all going to be great reactors. The problem is being able to deploy those reactors on time, on budget. We have the safest operating nuclear fleet, the highest performing operating nuclear fleet.
You're talking about the Navy? Or
I'm talking about the U.S.
broadly.
We have about 100 operating plants. I mean, today, 20% of the power in the U.S. comes from nuclear. That's nuclear that was built in the 60s and 70s. Yeah. We've built 2 reactors in 30 years. So what are we? Yeah. We're the deployment arm. And what does that mean? So think of if you're American Airlines or Delta, you don't call GE or Rolls-Royce. You don't just call to buy a jet engine. Yep. You call Boeing or Airbus. Mm-hmm. What if I handed you a jet engine or a Ferrari engine or a Bugatti engine, no matter how great that engine is, you're going to be like, what are we doing? So we want to be the full solution to deliver that power plant to either a hyperscaler, to a utility, to a foreign government, or potentially to operate those on our own. And the good thing is we're not competing with any of those reactor companies in the market. We're a partner of them. So once they go from R&D to manufacturing to design to implementation, there's a big difference between white lab coats designing projects in an R&D lab to living in a construction site where I've done, much of our team's done. I mean, I've built 8 million square feet of stuff at the last thing, got a team of builders that worked for Elon building gigafactories, built the last nuclear power plants here. We want to be that team that when you're ready to go deploy your reactor, we can partner with you, get that reactor in the field and get it up and operating.
Your partners on the reactor side, how much of what they're doing is just remembering how we used to build reactors as a country versus doing net new innovation?
So there's really only 2 incumbents in the U.S., and that's Westinghouse and GE. Yep. And, obviously we're talking to them. And then there's a lot of...
And they built Vodal, the most recent nuclear power plants to come online that were successful, but over budget and over time, correct?
Oh man, it was, I hired everybody off that team. So Georgia, Vogtle 3 and 4, first thing.
Of nuclear.
What we wanted No. We wanted to hire, like if people look at that and go abject failure, I go, no. These are lessons learned. This is like what went wrong. Yeah. Guys, it's nuts, man. Like it took 10,000 people at the peak of construction on that construction site. Guys, go to a rock concert, look at 10,000 people and think they're showing up to work every day.
Yeah, you don't want an amphitheater just to meet your team.
10,000 people managing the project with paper.
No way.
Dude,
so
guys, the last decade,
non-construction.
We're not talking 40 years ago. I'm talking this thing finished last year with wheelbarrows and wagons of paper. Rough. So you're looking at 10 to 20% efficiency for the people working. And, the audience and the larger viewership might go, lazy Americans. No, I'm not buying it. Yeah. We are not giving our teams and people the advantages to win. The American spirit and fight alone, God, I'm believing it as much as anyone. It's not enough. We got to bring technology, tools, capability. That's where we're partnering with Palantir. So I'm taking hundreds of thousands of pages of documents, which is what it takes to build one of these power plants, putting it into a data lake, segmenting that data out. So if certain parties want to secure their data, they can. Then having LLMs and AI on top of that, giving predictive analytics. So when the supply chain's delayed the night before, a construction man or woman's waking up in an RV in a trailer at 3 a.m. Okay, I'm going to be redirected at 3:15. I go there. At 3:45, I go there. Giving our frontline teams all the tools, technology, and information. We can do it. We're not splitting an atom. We're not going to Mars. We're just building the most dominant AI-enabled platform on planet Earth, and we're going to slash that 10,000 down to 5,000. We're going to go to 7 years instead of 12 years. China's building these 1 gigawatt reactors for $5 billion in 5 years. There's no reason we can't do it in 5 or 4 years. I'm not going to name the number. My team will get really upset with me on the price side, but there's no reason these 2 reactors took 12 years and 36
Well, let's
billion.
talk about timelines in the industry broadly, because there's some recent, I guess, I don't know if I can't remember if it was an EO or just a broad directive from the White House saying like we want new nuclear breaking ground in the U.S. in the next 12 months. Is that
Brother, it could be us. So we are imminently close to a recovery project that I'm not supposed to talk about, so I'm not going to name the state. And but it's a $20 billion recovery project.
Bringing old capacity back online.
Yeah. So $9 billion walkaway. They spent $9 billion on this 2 gigawatt nuclear power plant. Didn't finish it. Walked away. Yeah. So we are getting brought in. We're imminently close. If we win that, you all should definitely come. This tiny little team that's 2 years old that partnered with Palantir to go recover this animal and finish it. I would love to have you all on that construction site.
When you think about what they spent, what is the value that's just sitting there on the dirt? Certainly not $9 billion, but are you picking up a couple billion?
$9 billion in legal fees. And $100K
no, it's a lot of big stuff.
Infrastructure. Hopefully they poured some concrete that's still there or something.
It looks like, if you walk on it, we're on. I'm not allowed to say where we're at, right? God, I almost did. So
good catch.
We're in America.
We're in America.
Play that American sound effect. We are in America. We're not afraid to say it. We're in America.
But when you walk this site and you look at it, it looks like aliens landed and just left because it's in rural America where this big infrastructure. So there's a lot of value there. There's been some value that's not quite where it should be. But we're gonna get that thing hopefully later this year, early next year, and be under construction.
We had an author, Dan Wang, on the show maybe last week. He wrote a book called Breakneck, and he compares and contrasts China to the United States, and he calls China an engineering empire driven by an engineering mindset. The solution to everything in China is just more engineering. Build a train to nowhere, build a bridge, just build housing, build everything, build. And in the United States, he calls us the lawyerly society, and we are everyone in politics is lawyerly or lawyer lineage. And so one of the problems that I've heard in nuclear is that oftentimes you go to build something, you think, okay, I got a plan. It's compliant with all the laws, and then the laws change, and all of a sudden you're back to square one. You got to rip out all the pipes because they said no copper. Now you got to use lead pipes again, or whatever. How much of that do you think is real, or how much do you think? Because that feels like something that you can speed up by analyzing all the legal code constantly and the regulatory filing, speeding that up. But some of it also has to happen on the other side, right? Like it's not just enough for you to be using AI to submit documents fast. You need review fast. So what's going to happen on the other side?
Oh God, I have so many comments on this subject.
Just rant.
So how long do we have? Seriously,
we got a couple minutes.
5 minutes. This is the hot button issue for me. We have the safest operating nuclear fleet in the world and the highest operating capacity. This industry, don't get me wrong, the legal BS, yes, we all agree. But the victim mentality of the industry, the victim mentality of entrepreneurs in San Francisco acting like high school kids blaming the regulator. Brother, it ain't that hard. We hired the number 2 at the NRC, Laura Dudes. She's on our team. We're walking into the NRC going, what do you need? We're going to be fully transparent. We're going to be fully compliant. They should be incredibly critical. It's nuclear, for God's sakes. If there is one, and here's the other one, big misnomer.
And it's working, right? The fleet's safe.
We have had in decades 100 operating nuclear power plants. Not one person in this country has died from radiation fallout. 0.0. That is perfection. So the private sector needs to stop being a victim and just start doing what we're doing and figure out how to partner with the regulator. We're seeing no problem. So the other kids that want to cry on Twitter, go for it. You want to sue the regulator, go for it. We're just going to go in and partner with them and figure out how to build bigger, faster, lower cost, safer, higher quality than ever before. And I will say what we're doing with Palantir. Well, here's the good news. To the people designing reactors, and you're ready to go deploy them, what you're doing and what I'm doing have nothing in common. I have a team. Again, me and my wife were living in an RV, got engaged on the last construction site. I've got guys that were building Vogtle 3 and 4, had heart attacks on the construction site, had people living at the gigafactories. That is a totally different world. Let us take your drawings, your great R&D, drag it into reality, and we're going to build that trust with the regulator with you. But I do think we got to go pencils down, swords down on blaming the regulator. Now, the legal, that's a whole versus engineer thing. That's a whole nother topic we could take on. But we need the regulator to challenge us to be safe. And we just, as an industry, have to figure out how to comply and get the job done.
Yeah. What?
Great rant. I would love to see you and Karp rant together.
Yeah. What did Palantir show you that made you go with them? Was there a key case study that?
So we studied. So we are a 2-year-old company that's about to be the only company in the U.S. with commercial nuclear under our watch. Mm-hmm. I'm like, what did we do right? What are others doing? We're just building a team to go build and kind of reactor tech agnostic.
Is the other stuff managed by the government? Is that what you mean? Or is it just older companies that manage?
There's no one that's actually focused on building. Everyone's designing new reactors. I just want to go build stuff. So I could build a Westinghouse, a GE reactor. Any one of the new advanced reactors. We just want to build. So then the last year, what we did is we looked at everything. Hired somebody over here a lot smarter than me. Was at Tesla, was at Microsoft. Looked at all the different AI platforms. What can we do? We knew what we wanted, Nuclear OS. So Nuclear OS is the, again, all aspects of data related to the project into a data lake, predictive analytics to our frontline teams. No one's even close, man. Yeah. This is it. I'm not trying to be like a sales job. I would like to get like a commission.
Yeah, I was going to guess that there's not another great alternative that you didn't. It would have been nice to at least look at a couple options and decide.
No, I mean, here's the good thing. I mean, it's just the most secure platform. The way it is configured, we're gonna go build the most dominant AI-enabled nuclear platform, and we're doing it with Palantir. So it took us about a year of study. It took us a couple months of planning. And now we're just racing right now to go kind of build those solutions, and it's working.
Yeah, what's the structure of the financial milestones for you? Because I imagine that a lot of this doesn't look just like fund everything with venture capital. There's probably some project finance, right?
Definitely.
And then there's actually a customer who might be not you that's paying you just to manage the construction.
So for our business model, Topco, the nuclear company, you're investing your VC dollars into technology and team, which this town knows.
Yep.
That big buckets of capital, project capital. I hired a big boy CFO that's raised $10 billion in his life. He was CFO with JB at Redwood.
Similar to how like the neo clouds will go and build new data centers, but then there's project finance on the data center. So debt and equity on
the project. Yeah. We're the ones getting it to completion. We could get an equity earn out in the project. We could get a fee during construction.
Sure.
And then there's multiple. Either we could build own transfer to a large utility. Yeah. We could build own operate for a hyperscaler. We could build own transfer to a foreign government, or we could operate it ourselves. So there's a few ways we get there, but the debt and equity is going on the project, not through us now. I mean, our valuation's not to a point to where I could put $20 billion on our balance sheet.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Maybe in a couple of years, let's talk. Let's see how this goes. So we're again. Very just bullish on Palantir, and I don't know whoever listened to that talk earlier. The binary outcome is it's us versus China. And to all the tech bros and the badass CEOs and the badass Fortune 500 tech executive, here's what I would say. We got to leave our ego at the door. China is fucking kicking our ass. That, I hope, was not recorded.
Everything's recorded. We're live.
So the reality is it's not even a competition.
Yeah.
We're losing so bad. And we've got to work together. So I would say to the community watching, push me, be hard on me, critical on me, that's fine. But let's figure out how to challenge each other and work together, because it's a binary outcome right now. It's us versus China. It's not even close. They're winning at so many categories, and we've got to figure out how to work together. And that's what I think Palantir and a unique framework they're bringing, not only the technology, but the mentality of how do we work together and win. And, now it's all going to be about performance on that construction site, on time, on budget, high safety.
Well, and I love your position in the nuclear kind of market broadly, in that if somebody can build great reactors, you can help them actually become a real business based on it and not have to worry about every single point in the stack.
We got a partner, man. That's the thing, right? This is where China is going into the Middle East, fully vertically integrated, going, MBS, we will do it all. one shop stop. They don't want to work with 3 constructors and somebody selling a reactor. No. So like, how do we partner together, go as a coalition? We're going to deliver power globally. We're going to deliver power here in the U.S. But I do think figuring out how we, bring down this ego of like, there's so many silos and we need to challenge each other. But that's what I would say to you all, because there's a lot more people on this listen to you than listen to me. How do we bring our tech community together, our big CEOs who are important and great, but if you compare them to China, we're not winning. So it's like, how do we do that and go win collectively?
Fantastic. Well, I think we have our next guest here. We're going to take a look at some rocket motors. So
thank you so
much for hopping on.
Thanks for joining us. Thank you for doing this work.
We appreciate it. Have a good rest of your day. Up next, we have Nancy Cable from Ursa Major. We will bring her in. And do you want us to try and bring that in here? What are you thinking? I'm happy to bring it in.
Bring in the engine.
Bring in the engine.
Bring in the engine.
It's an engine, right? Okay. It's a device.
We got an engine coming on the show, folks.
It's shocking that it was cleared through security. We when we do these remote shows, we sometimes have to bring very, very suspicious looking Wi-Fi hotspots. Ben and the boys brought a Wi-Fi hotspot through the. Actually, I think I had to walk it into the Capitol. Through a very odd place.
Here, maybe pick up the microphone and we'll throw it on the table.
Set it gently on the table.
We can throw it on the table.
I think we'll be okay. Yeah, just set your end gently down.
Okay.
Incredible.
This is a wild demo.
First rocket engine.
Nice to meet you. I'm John.
John, I'm Nancy.
Nancy, pleasure.
Thanks
Here, we're
for coming
gonna
on.
hold this as much as you can. We've had people bring fish to the show, sushi that was extracted, or the fish was killed with a robot, Shinkai. That was a fun one.
We had somebody promise us a SpaceX engine too.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We gotta
follow up on that.
But this is the best demo we've gotten so far.
We beat SpaceX.
This is
something.
fantastic.
This is a good day for us.
Yes.
Incredible.
So explain to us, what is this and what's your business, and introduce yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm Nancy Cable. I am the director of operations for Ursa Major.
Cool.
And we are an aerospace and defense company. So we are deploying primarily right now hypersonic rocket technology, which is what this is. This is our Hadley engine, so a 5,000-pound thrust class, proven hypersonic flight capability. So this thing right here has flown Mach 5.
Okay.
Wow.
Really critical in the defense space right now. We must field technology, and we must do it faster. Yeah. And that's what Hadley and some of our next gen products are enabling.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, the value of the hypersonic missile is that it has the maneuverability of a cruise missile with like the speed of an ICBM, and it's not. And so, is maneuverability a piece of this? Is this like a
maneuverability is a piece of this for our customers. So a lot of interceptor technology is what current applications, and for our next gen products, the maneuverability and the storability of the fuels are also front of mind.
Yeah, and help me understand where Ursa Major fits in the overall stack of like the primes and the different supply chain. Like, are you developing whole weapons systems that sell directly to the DoD? Are you partnering with other companies that we might be familiar with? Where does Ursa Major fit in?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're doing. We aim to be disruptive. Yeah. And disruptive means that we want to break the mold of what some of the primes and the government have traditionally done, which is these like years or even decades long deployment cycles of development and qualification. And to do that, we do want to push the industry. So that does mean not necessarily fielding the weapon system ourselves, although that is on the horizon, but putting ourselves in the position where we're partnering with the government, partnering with the primes, and forcing them to push the envelope on how fast we can get these products into the spaces that they need to be.
So right now, huge focus on just manufacturing excellence, cost, speed, reliability.
Absolutely, yeah, and that is most of my role is on the manufacturing side and making sure that I can take this excellent technology that our rocket scientists have developed and scale it so that it's available to market. Right, right now we're on looking at the order of tens to hundreds of units a year. That needs to be tens of thousands of units a year, and that's really where the Palantir partnership comes in.
How does Palantir fit into this?
Absolutely. You might think that engineers are great at data flow, but if we were to look at this rocket engine here, different engineers designed the turbo machinery and the injector and the chamber. And all of them came up with a unique way to process their data, a unique test system, a different network drive, a different place to store the information. And
different network drive? That is, I wasn't expecting that.
and I think this
and
is
yeah,
the
when I think
story
about
of,
we have a small company here, maybe 10 people, and we probably do have like 6 different like Google Drives and different folders for different data.
Well, that's
it's ridiculous. It's just
interesting
natural.
thing, right?
It's just the natural chaos.
Everyone, in every industry, rocket propulsion included, ends up feeling like, man, I'm 15 years behind. How could anyone possibly store something on a C drive? But when you're focused on getting the hardware to work, you're not necessarily focused on the efficiency. And so putting the data efficiencies front and center, even before Palantir, our aim was right data, right people, right time, right decisions. I loved what Dr. Karp was saying about people happiness. People are not happy when they feel behind. They are happy when they feel ahead, when they can make real-time decisions. And leveraging Palantir out onto the shop floor and into the back end of our data structures means that we can get the information to people so they can be real-time and then even predictive about how we're doing manufacturing.
So how does someone at Ursa Major actually interact with Palantir? Is it on an iPad, on a phone, on a computer while they're working on a test bench? Like in every phase? Is it
great question. So we've been with Palantir about 3 months now.
Okay, so early.
And right now the daily interactions are mostly with our engineering and programmatic teams. We've built some inventory modules. We've built in, looking at our engineering line of balance, our change management systems. But like we were hearing from our nuclear, nuclear, the people on the floor doing the work are actually the most important people in the factory. If my technicians can't build an engine, we cannot deliver to our customers. So that is the next endeavor that we are a few weeks into with amazing results so far, is to actually make Palantir a manufacturing execution system, make it the shop floor portal. One data source, one source of truth, one program, from raw material ordering all of the parts, producing all of the parts internal, through fielded data at our customers.
Is you almost call it like an ERP almost?
So we have an ERP. Right? This is what everyone does. They have an ERP for enterprise resource planning. Accounting function, all of your work orders. We have a PLM, a product lifecycle management, and then an MES is the traditional thing, a manufacturing execution system. And we have said, why not use Palantir? It's already integrated. I don't want one more monolithic software. Connect it with the ERP. Actually pull some of the functions out of the ERP. Palantir's better at them.
I remember hearing a story, I don't know how true it is, but something about like SpaceX built like a ton of custom software for everything they needed to do, and then eventually I think the team like spun out and built a business around that.
Well, SpaceX actually, so they have a product, and it's kind of the gold standard. Everyone who's worked at SpaceX,
it's like, I want that one.
It's like, I want that one. And that really is the magic of that software is everything in one place, which is what ontology brings. Everything we need in one place.
Very cool.
What's it going to take to go from making tens or hundreds of these to tens of thousands?
The physical process matters, of course, right? We are a hardware company. You look at the complexity of this, and you can understand why we're not going to be forward with a robotic automation line. So making sure we have the right tools, the right fixtures, the right machines. 3D printing is critical to what we do here.
What's 3D printed on there?
80% of the rocket, all of these metallic components are metal 3D printed.
Fascinating.
Developing some of our own unique alloys. So scaling the machines is probably the longest lead time for us. And then setting up the correct tools, fixtures, as you can imagine, test stand infrastructure is really big. But not having the data around that in silos. So when we need to build hundreds of these, I need to know where every piece part is at every moment so that we can make the best real-time decisions possible for quality for the customers. So the physical infrastructure is really what we're most familiar with. And now Palantir is helping us with that digital infrastructure side of things. I've been in manufacturing my whole career. 80% of the line down scenarios I've ever had where we stopped building product. You want to guess what they're from?
Lacking inventory, or
it's lacking inventory. It is not having a component. And so we think about a rocket engine is really physically complex. That's not actually the hard part. The hard part is getting all the pieces where they need to be to build a 1,200 component rocket engine. And it's things like that the ontology is helping us solve.
A couple of years ago,
it's funny. I don't know if this is hubris, but I feel like you could put this together, John.
Well, that's kind that's kind of
the point, right?
A manufacturing
but it's just like
system.
so actually putting the pieces together is the easy part, but it's like making the parts and making sure you have them at the right time is the real challenge. So it's like doing a puzzle over 20 days type of thing.
Yeah, I mean, we joke it's like Legos for adults, but you can see it really just is a collection of fittings and fasteners. And that's kind of the point. How can we have a system that makes it so easy and so obvious how we manufacture these that I could pull the two of you in and say, build a rocket engine, and you could do it with confidence?
We've got young kids. I think they would enjoy putting one of these together.
Yeah. A couple of years ago, I sat next to somebody on a plane who was selling, it was pipe fitting, whatever this is.
Yeah, tube bending.
Tube bending,
Yes.
He said, I'm in my business is tube bending. And I was like, what? And he was like, he was going to SpaceX specifically to sell tube bending machines to them. And I didn't realize there was a whole industry.
But he has to be there. He made his money in bending tubes.
But he has to be there in person to make sure that they don't run out.
Absolutely.
Because it's a rate limiting factor.
Industry.
If the tube isn't bent, you can't make the rocket.
If the tube isn't bent, you can't make the rocket.
Crazy.
And tubes actually carry some risk. They're some of the thinnest walled components on the rocket, right?
Yep.
This has a lot of mass to it.
Sure.
Tubes can be where failures happen.
Sure.
So in an ecosystem, we need to test them, but also, where did this tube come from?
Yep.
What day was it bent? What was the lot of stock material? What revision was I on in my CAD model? What testing did this engine undergo?
Yeah.
All of that currently I could find in our systems.
Interesting.
And it would take me hours.
Yeah.
But
if it's all in one place.
If it's all in one place and we have a consolidated tool, it's that traceability.
That's incredibly cool.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Anything else?
Thank you so much for bringing your baby on the show.
This is a great sign of respect.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, what's cooler than carrying around a hypersonic rocket engine,
I love it.
right? Everyone loves it, but the TSA. They don't.
Oh
yes.
So
We've had some rough one to travel with.
Yeah. Anyway, thank you so much for coming on the stream.
Absolutely.
We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks for coming on.
Yeah,
Great to meet
thank you so much.
Thank you.
We have our next guest ready, or should I talk?
We have a couple minutes. Why don't you tell us about some ads? Do you have some ads you could run? I'd love to hear some ads. You want to talk about ramp.com?
Ramp.
Oh, you're playing the ramp song?
Ramp.
Let's go through some
I did want to, while you pull that up, I did want to talk about Matt Huang, the Paradigm and the Stripe team introducing a new payments first blockchain called Tempo. Matt says, as stablecoins go mainstream, there's a need for optimized infrastructure. Tempo is purpose-built for stablecoins and real-world payments, born from Stripe's experience in global payments and Paradigm's expertise in crypto. To ensure Tempo serves a broad array of needs, we're excited to be working with an incredible group of initial design partners, including Anthropic, Coupang, Deutsche Bank, DoorDash, Leadbank, Mercury, Nubank, OpenAI, Revolut, Shopify, Standard Chartered, Visa, and more. Tempo's payment-first design includes predictable low fees, payments, gas, and any stablecoin, payments-first UX, opt-in privacy, scale, 100,000 transactions per second, and EVM compatible, built on Wreath. Tempo eases the path to bring real-world flows on-chain, such as global payouts, pay-ins, and payroll, embedded financial products, and accounts, fast and cheap remittances, tokenized deposits for 24/7 settlement, microtransactions, agentic payments, and more. Matt says, we're building Tempo with principles of decentralization and neutrality. That includes stablecoin neutrality. Anyone can issue a stablecoin. We might be able to have a TBPN coin. That sounds exciting. And any... Oh, yeah. That was clearly a joke. No, but I was talking about a USD TBPN. That's just a one-for-one stablecoin that we issued to...
It does not move.
It does not move. You can't make it move. It won't budge. Independent and diverse validator set with a roadmap toward a permissionless model. So apparently they're already in a private test net. And anyways, two power players, Paradigm and Stripe, coming together. It sounds like they're positioning, I guess Matt is running Tempo, but they're positioning this as they're both investors in Tempo. So I think they really do want to take a decentralized approach.
So this is not downstream of like the Stripe acquisitions directly, Privy and Bridge?
No, so I have a post here from Zach Abrams, founder of Bridge.
Okay.
He says, Bridge was one of the first companies to use blockchains to solve core payments problems. During our journey, we've seen how even the most performant blockchains struggle with basic financial services use cases. A few examples, a payroll transaction consistently failing when when Trump launched. That's interesting. So when the Trump coin launched, apparently people that were running payroll, couldn't get
bridge with stable coins.
No. He's not talking about bridge specifically, but he's saying if you were trying to pay employees at the time that Trump coin launched,
who's paying employees in Trump coin?
No, not in Trump coin.
Oh, okay.
That day, I think it was a Saturday or it was a Friday, I forget exactly. But when it launched, if you tried to pay, there was so much activity on chain at that moment. That, good luck, paying a freelancer or something.
So but the example would be I'm trying to pay a freelancer in stable coins, on chain, because obviously your default payroll providers are just using Web 2 Rails or whatever, and that wasn't brought down by the Trump launch, right? Okay, got it.
Aid disbursements taking days due to low transactions per second, and projects delayed or canceled due to 6-figure upfront gas costs. Tempo is a new L1 built specifically for payments. And so, quite the team they've put together here.
Yeah, we got to get some of the folks on the show and have them break it down, because I'm very interested in why not Solana, why not Circle. It feels like there's a
the other question is why not another L, why not an L2?
Exactly,
right?
exactly. But this is something unique, and they must have put a lot of time and effort into it. So congrats to them on the launch, but we will want to know more. Anyway, I believe we have our next guest. Welcome to the show.
Ryan.
I'm John.
Ryan,
pleasure.
Welcome to the show.
You hold this microphone. Why don't you kick us off with an introduction on yourself and what brought you here today?
Perfect. I'm Ryan Asdourian. I'm the Chief Marketing and Strategy Officer for Lumen.
Okay.
And we're here at AIPCon talking about all the great things we're doing together to modernize telecom. Lumen's a telecom.
Let's give it up for modernizing telecom.
Yeah, exactly.
Finally.
It's fun because it's decades of complex operational. Palantir is helping us modernize into this new world that you need for AI-ready, multi-cloud world that is what everyone's here talking about.
Yeah, how do you define, break down more of what you do in telecom specifically?
Yeah, so Lumen is, for decades, we have basically been connecting the world.
Okay.
It starts with connection, and then in the last bit of time, the world has needed new ways of connecting.
Yeah.
We're bringing that infrastructure. We're bringing control. If you think about the way it was before, it was
fiber cables in the ground?
All fiber, right? Everything that's running across fiber.
Got it.
Those super fast connections you need. One port, one connection was the way of the world. We're changing that. We're getting it cloud ready, cloud enabled, remote controlled. All of those things that give you that redundancy, latency, all the things that power AI.
Yeah.
That's what Lumen is doing, and we're connecting the world.
Okay. Who's the customer right now?
We have lots of customers. So we're really focused on the enterprise. The enterprises that are building these
data
new
center
capabilities, data center operators, hyperscalers, of course. And so we've announced some of the work we've done on the backbone, the infrastructure, backbone of the AI economy. But what we're really doing is enabling businesses new things, new technologies that they want to give them a technological advantage. We're disrupting this industry to help them disrupt their industry.
So, obviously there's an immense amount of money flowing into data centers. Is a lot of that actually going into new bandwidth requirements between data centers? The basic narrative is they might spend $1 billion training something, but it's all happening within one data center.
Well, so the thing you hear about a lot, and you guys have talked about a lot as well, is compute, storage, cooling, all those things that are needed. The missing link is connectivity. And realistically, it's something that has really emerged as of recent to say there are new types of connectivity, new next-gen fiber that has way more capacity than the world has ever needed before. We're growing leaps and bounds. By 2028, we'll have about 66 million route miles of fiber. And that is growing 3 to 5x what we've had before. And that is the capacity the world needs.
So there's
and is that capacity being used inefficiently today, or is demand still way outstripping supply?
The demand is completely maxing out. It's why we are putting these investments in the ground. And we're not only the hyperscalers, I'd say, the tip of the spear. They're consuming a lot of this. They're looking for a lot of this data center to data center connectivity. But it's really enterprises everywhere that are now saying, you know what? We also need that type of bandwidth. And some will take it dedicated, some will take it shared, but the need is completely outpacing what the needs of the last couple of decades have been.
Yeah, try and make that more concrete for me, like because I feel like most people's interaction with AI is I send the most condensed packets possible across the internet, just a couple lines of text, and then a bunch of GPUs light on fire at the AWS data center or Azure if I'm using GPT-5, and then it sends back text. This is not rich video. This is not VR. I immediately like intuitively understand, like if we're in the metaverse world and we're streaming 4K stereoscopic, that's super bandwidth heavy. How is AI bandwidth heavy?
So it's actually great listening to the customers that have been here at AIPCon, because you hear American Airlines, you hear BP, you hear some of these customers that are talking about their infrastructure, all of the scheduling, the inferencing, the planning that is happening in real time and adjusting. That is not just people typing in their prompts into the text. It is systems talking to systems. And this is where the data explosion has come from.
Okay, sure.
It's all happening in the background.
Okay, yeah. So even though I fire off one query to GPT-5, if it's doing deep research, it might be pinging 75 different websites, and that's driving up total internet use.
Yes, and the systems
it's fanning out.
Are also creating their own queries.
Yes. We saw that with the demo from Palantir. Like, he typed one line of text to help optimize this airport,
and then it was
working for 20 minutes.
That's right.
Okay, yeah,
that's right.
So
this is where the disruption in telecom comes. And if you really think about what has changed in telecom over the last 25 years, the answer is not much. When you can take one port and you can put lots of services on that port and put the control in the customer's hands, you've changed the way people interact. It's cloudifying telecom. And in this new world of what is happening with cloud, like Cloud 2.0, that is the necessary bandwidth control and precision that you need in connectivity.
What does cloudifying telecom mean? Does that mean like more like multi-tenant on the actual fiber lines? Like instead of a hyperscaler owning one route, then they're bidding it out and spot rates or something? What's going on there?
Multi-tenant is a good way to think about some of the services on top of, in the past, you've literally, if you think even back to old telephone switches, you've had, the one wire to one wire, it's been one port to one service. You add a service, you add a port, it's a truck roll, it's a person coming out. Cloudifying it is bringing all of that technology to the users, giving them that interface, that portal where they can say, I need these services, I need them in these locations, I need this speed, I need the bandwidth turned up. It's network as a service.
Yeah, so a higher level of abstraction.
Yes.
And more like almost like a virtual machine on top of the telecom infrastructure, so it can be provisioned like on an ad hoc basis.
Yeah, and one of the biggest changes I think in the economics of this AI economy is also, if you think about a network subscription, if you will, of the past, you sign up, you get a certain amount of bandwidth. But if you look at the companies of today, if you look at the sports industry, manufacturing industry, healthcare industry, they have these spikes that are massive. And so we're providing that network as a service where it turns up, turns down, and then customers are paying for it's a consumption model. And again, that's part of this cloudifying model, which has not hit telecom till what we're looking to transform with.
So help me understand the new shape of the telecom industry in your business. Like, I imagine that there's some genius scientist that comes up with a faster fiber optic cable that is manufactured somewhere. Then someone purchases that, they buy some land, they bury it in the ground, maybe they get some rights, and then at a certain point someone's leasing or essentially charging a toll along that toll road. Do you are we completely vertically integrated?
So we sit vertically integrated, but I think
So you do R&D on new fiber optic technology.
We work with a number of partners on that, and then we're also thinking about the AI optimizations on that fiber. So if you think about intelligent routing, if you think about redundancy, if you think about all those things where you could have something as simple as a fiber cut in the ground. Maybe it's on purpose, maybe it's not on purpose, but something
you need to be aware
happens,
of that, and then you need to dispatch someone to go fix it.
You can't have any interruption to the services you're running. So we have to have that redundancy. On top of that, our customers and enterprises everywhere, I think they started mostly building with one cloud. Now, if you think about this multi-cloud world where they're hitting Azure, GDC, AWS, they're hitting all of them at the same time with the same applications in different regions across the US.
Sure.
They have to seamlessly let those systems talk to each other. And they don't want a direct connection to each of them. That's where we started. But now they want to be able to live in this fabric where their systems can talk to all of these in all the regions, get all of the data, and process faster because that's part of the disruption they want.
Last question for me. How does Palantir fit into that?
Yeah, so if you think of the operational complexity of the decades of past, you've built all these networks. We talked about fiber in the ground.
Yeah.
Think about the systems over those decades that have been built up. One of the things Palantir is helping us with is this managing this operational complexity.
You sort of see an abstraction of this in LA when there's the fire and like the boxes with the telephone lines just explode.
Yeah.
And you're like, why didn't they build a box that doesn't explode? And so you imagine that, okay, if that's where if that's how the power lines work, the fiber optic lines, they're newer. But there's probably still some stuff that might go wrong if it was installed 30 years ago.
Yeah, well,
so you got to identify that early.
There's that, and there's the software layer that is running all of those.
Got to make sure that that's up to date and not crashing.
And Palantir is helping us optimize those, helping us bring them together. And what we are building for customers is then a system that they don't have to think about the optimization they need in their network. We're going to help automate that. We're going to help bring AI to that network. And that's part of this partnership. And it's also, frankly, the most exciting part about disrupting telco. It's not an industry that too many have talked about disrupting for a while. It's ripe for it. It's needed. And this AI multi-cloud era, Lumen's here for it.
That's very exciting. Anything else, Jordy?
Love it.
We're running late, so thank you so much for hopping on the stream.
Thanks for having me.
Nice to meet you.
All right.
I'll grab this. Thank you. We have our next guest coming into the studio. Drew Cukor. I think we actually have multiple. We might need to pull up an extra chair. We have lads. We have lads coming in. If we want to bring everyone in, we can. We can pass the mic around. Whatever you guys want to do. We have multiple. Oh, okay. Hey. Oh, hey.
Just me.
Oh, how you doing?
Sorry.
I'm John.
Welcome.
What's up? Great to meet you.
How you doing?
Good.
How's the day? Could you kick us off?
Grab the mic.
Kick us off with an introduction for those who don't know.
Okay. I'm Dave. Dave Glazer. Been at Palantir for 12 years, and I'm a CFO.
Pre-IPO.
Pre-IPO. Yeah. I basically.
Or DPO, right?
GPO. Yeah. Since when our prior CFO retired, who's actually on the show recently.
Yeah, Colin. I talked to him. Great guy.
He retired in 2017, and since then, I've been leading the finance team.
Yeah. So my big question for you, gross margins for the Fortune 500 in the AI era, are we going to see a structural shift? You know, the inference bills are skyrocketing. Inference per token is dropping, but then Jevons paradox, and we're doing more token inference than ever before. Reasoning models are kind of staying expensive. And we saw in the journal earlier this week, maybe last week, software company called Notion said that they saw their gross margins drop from 90 to 80%. Not bad still, but there does seem to be some sort of impact. And I'm wondering how you think it might play out for the really big companies.
Yeah, look, I think so one of the things that we've been sort of saying is like LMs are commodity cognition, right? And so essentially it's like they're getting better and better, right? Elo scores better and better. Tokens are getting cheaper, right? And as Alex said, I don't know if you watched Keynote, but he's talking about how do you actually derive value from that raw output of an LM? And so it's I think it's the raw output, it is getting cheaper. We're still very early days on these models, and you're seeing them just sort of up and to the right in Elo score. And so these things combined, I think, are going to make it cheaper and cheaper over time. And I think we'll see sort of on gross margin. I think you look at some of the other things like hyperscaler costs, right, from a lot of these places. I think people's gross margins have survived, right? They're more efficient. They're all this, and so I think we will see, but I think that it's going to be much more about how you're deriving value from them than the cost is going to be so overwhelming, but they're super.
Totally.
It's focused on the value, and I do think over time it's people are going to be able to manage those costs.
Yeah. It feels like higher costs potentially, but so much more value, and it's pretty easy to tell. Yeah, I'm spending a lot on inferencing a certain LLM API, but obviously I'm delivering more value, and so I'm charging.
Also,
more
you have to think about the
stuff,
position that Palantir sits in. We got a product demo earlier. HiveMind was leveraging like a bunch of different models, and like that position of having leverage and being like, we are the product, we have the data, we have the customer relationship, and we can vend in whatever intelligence sources we need in order to accomplish the task. Like that's a better position than being, if you're a GBT wrapper and your product is really 4.0 and you're just kind of like reselling that, right?
Sorry.
And I do think it's like, I think it's going to be all about the value rather than like, well, the value's there, but the cost is so prohibitive.
Yeah. How are you thinking about positioning Palantir's story in commercial in the United States over the next couple of years? Like, what is the right framework? People have always had the wrong mindset. It's a consulting shop. What do they even do? Blah, blah, blah. Like, what is the right frame of mind to be in?
Look, I think the right frame of mind is like, we're delivering a tremendous amount of value to these customers, with these customers, right? It's like, and they're needed too in this, right? And it's like, you deliver that value, and we're like just at the beginning. So you look at like our US commercial business, like grew over 90% last quarter. It's still relatively small, right? And it's like, there's so much runway there, right? Like it's like just that business has like sub 400 customers, right? Like that is, when you look sort of across a lot of other companies, it's like, that's, and so it's like we're doing all this with such a small customer base, and obviously it's rapidly growing, but it's like it just shows the amount of runway that's ahead. Yeah.
Do you think that people should be thinking about the commercial business as like a bundle, like a competitor to a bundle of products that already exist, or something that's entirely net new, or displacing an entirely different class of spend in the enterprise? Like how should people even wrap their mind around that?
Some version of all of the above, right? So it's like when you think about, you're not like head to head, who are we competing with, right? And then everyone's like, but I don't get it. It's like, is it some combination of, right? It's like, we're not really, we're competing against like the Frankenstein monster that almost every large corporation has. And then you're also competing like particularly in government, but it also applies in, particularly large corporations, is like custom built software. So it's like those two, you're competing against that. And over time, you're obviously going to sort of eat into a lot of the spend, but it's like only because of the value that's being delivered. And then it's like, you don't maybe need some of these point products. Right?
It feels like it's like transformation, new technology that would not get built in the enterprise otherwise.
Correct. And then once you've built that, like compounding data asset, then perhaps you don't need some of the other products.
Yeah, that makes sense.
How is your framework or philosophy approaching the finance function at Palantir changed? Because I feel like there's like very distinct eras where
it changes every day.
Does it? Do you feel like you have to update it every day? Like, because in some ways, like when we talked to Karp earlier, it's like he's bringing that same energy and like philosophy. It feels like it's somewhat consistent, even though numbers go up and down and all that good stuff.
Yeah, I challenge any CFO working for Karp to have hair, right? So look, I think you've got to step back and say, like, okay, like how do we approach finance, right? And it's like, this is a company, like, and people have said it a lot, like we don't have a playbook, right? And obviously, there's a way that's run. The company's been built over the last 20-ish years. Like I've been lucky enough to be here for 12 of them, but like and because of that, it's like we're very unique, right? And what that means is like we are constantly changing what we're doing, right? And so like a lot of things, you talk about forward deployed engineers in the early days. Oh, that's consulting. That's this. It obviously helped us build the product that we have today, right? And so what you weren't optimizing on in those days was financial statements that Wall Street would want, right? Because it's and then it's like, but because of what we built today, not because. Or because of what we built, we have financial statements Wall Street loves, but it wasn't built for that purpose, right? And which is crazy valuable, right? Because it means we're so differentiated and we're doing things the way that like we want to do them, right? And the company was built that way. So
can you tell me the story of how the COVID era changed Palantir's financials? I remember seeing that T&E fell off a cliff and it never really came back. And that was, at the time I was talking to some people who were looking at the company, they were pretty excited about what that meant. And it felt like it was almost like a structural shift for the company. But is that a reasonable story to tell? Is that apocryphal?
Look, it's part of the story, right? And so I think like what happened with COVID, it was we could no longer, like you just couldn't be as much at a customer site, right? And so then it's like, well, we got to extend the product further, right? And this is a story that keeps happening at Palantir. It's like, well, we only have around 4,000 people, right?
Yeah.
And or you look at sort of our headcount growth, or like if you go back 2 years, it's up 12%. From 2 years ago, revenue is up 88%. It's like, well, how do you do that? It's like, well, the product's got to be better, right? And you have to have products like AIFTE, like all these things that are constantly evolving, and like that is the story of Palantir. It's like you're trying to do something, you're either resource constrained or somehow constrained. It's like, what do you do to meet that? And it almost always is product led.
Yeah, that makes a ton of sense. I know you have a busy day, so we'll let you go.
Awesome.
Thanks so much for hopping on.
Thanks for joining.
We'll talk to you soon. We will bring in our next guests in a minute. Jordy, do you have any breaking news?
I got a
any
post here
updates
from
we got?
Skooks. Skooks says Alex Karp trying his best to get TBPN banned from YouTube. I will say, I think it was like the least family-friendly 10 minutes segment of the hundreds of hours that we put out.
But
it was some of the best. Some of the best.
Some of the best. It was a lot of fun. I'm glad that Skooks enjoyed the stream, and thank you for YouTube for keeping us up.
Keeping us up.
Live.
We might.
Stream's going strong. Thank you to Restream for keeping the stream
Legends.
live. Thank you. Couldn't do it without them. We will bring in our next guests. We are ready to keep rocking and rolling here.
Who we got?
At the
Got
United
two chairs.
States.
2 chairs coming in.
Come on in. Come on in. Pull over.
What?
How you doing?
We got an IndyCar driver for you.
Oh, fantastic.
Amazing.
Performance engineer.
Very cool.
And then a finance guy.
Fantastic.
Dream
you didn't
combo.
have to sell me. Now I'm in. How you doing? Good to meet you. I'm John.
Hey, Kyle.
Pleasure. I'm John. Nice to meet
Jordy.
you. How you doing?
Jordy.
Good to meet you,
Nice to meet
guys.
Lads, we got the lads.
We got the
Here,
lads.
Take a seat.
Take a seat. Do you guys want to share?
Here, yeah, we'll share.
We'll share.
Yeah, sure.
Great. So, yeah, why don't you two kick us off with the introductions? Let us know who you are. I'm sorry you got stuck with a rough chair. So I couldn't figure out how to get the chair to sit up properly.
I should know.
Don't even try. It's not going to work. I already tried it. Anyway, introduce yourselves.
So I'm Zach Porter, a senior simulation engineer with Andretti Global on the IndyCar program.
Cool.
And I'm Kyle Kirkwood, driver of the number 27 Honda for Andretti Global.
Fantastic.
Yeah, and I'm Drew from TWG.
Fantastic. How do all of you fit together?
We're all under the TWG umbrella.
Okay.
Basically, a bunch of different businesses within that, and Drew can probably speak to it a little better than I can.
Yeah, I
please.
mean, it's a family. It's a great holding company. We have tons of businesses, from insurance to asset management, investment banking, and sports, media, entertainment, Western lifestyle. Yeah. And of course, the crown jewel of just about everything is the awesomeness of motorsports. Yeah. And the Andretti team in IndyCar. Yeah.
How long have you been involved with Andretti?
It's my fourth season at Andretti.
Fourth season?
Yeah,
Third season.
I'm losing track of time here. I think it's my fourth. No, it's my third. It's my third season with them, but I've been a part of the family for longer than that. I was with them in Indy Lights, and then I joined back with them in IndyCar. So really 5 seasons, actually, if you combined it all.
Yeah.
And I get to be this suit guy.
Yeah.
So I sit and watch this, but I've been here a year.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
And walk me through the flow of like why you're here specifically at AIPCon. Why are you working with Palantir?
Yeah. So in IndyCar, we have a ton of data.
Yeah.
In a ton of different siloed places. And
sure.
It sits, from stuff that we control, like our car setup database and stuff, but it also sits in like databases from IndyCar that we don't control. We have to consume all these things, and they're all connected. They all represent performance. They all represent the pieces of the car and how they go around the track and how we get faster and how we're relatively performing against the competitors. And so we came to Palantir and worked down this path to try and connect all these disparate data sets into one place where our engineers can make better decisions faster, sooner. Because in the end, from practice 1 to practice 2 or practice 2 to qualifying, whatever it is, there's this limited amount of time that we have to make a decision. The practice is coming whether you're ready or not. Yep. So the more informed we can be, the better decision we can make. In theory, the faster we can iterate and be more competitive.
So it feels like maybe we're just in the era of like, small micro optimizations just add up to greatness. Are there any stories from your career or just racing in general that stand out to you where someone just discovered some secret that just gave them a massive advantage? I'm thinking of in sailing, there was this, maybe it's a fake story, I don't know, but this idea that there was what's the big sailing cup that Allison races in? America's Cup? It's all catamarans now, and the story goes that they were all racing monohulls, and someone looked in the rule book and said, "There's nothing that says you can't bring a catamaran." And then one day somebody brought a catamaran and just beat everyone, and it was just one of the most fantastic stories. Have there been any eras that you've studied where someone's just figured out something that just rewrote the whole game?
It would never be like this again, but you had the fan car in F1, right?
Yeah. Tell me about this. Yeah. Tell me the full story.
I don't know the full story.
Okay.
So I don't know if you do
general,
either.
So. We're in an era of motorsport now that things are super tightly regulated. So it's really hard to find these big gains. But what he's referencing, back in the day, there was an era where aerodynamics were kind of king, and the guys did a similar thing. They looked at the rulebook and said, "Hey, there's nothing that says we can't power the air inside the car on our own." And so they built a car that had big fans at the back of it and skirts that ran down the side, and the car literally
sucked its way down. So just so much extra downforce.
I don't remember exactly how long it existed, but it wasn't very long because
I'm sure it got banned. That's amazing.
But it was fundamentally dominant, and there's been a lot of those kind of things now, and over time. But now we're kind of in this era of fighting for these hundredths of second, these little micro moments, and that's where being able to drill down through big data is so powerful for us.
And I can imagine we'll be like, we do a live show, right? So speed and timing is important, and sometimes we're like, oh, this document isn't here, we don't have this link and things like that. You guys are racing around a track where every millisecond matters, and so if you're jumping between different data sets and systems of record, I can imagine that's can be a disaster.
Yeah, and it's not just while Kyle's on track. Yes, he's doing all of that, but then as soon as he's back, it's between sessions as well. It's the clock's always ticking. We're competing on the track and off the track.
Yeah, I mean, we just have such little time to go through so much data. And to be able to piece it all together and understand a full picture, you have to do a lot of different things, which our engineers are very good at, but it's time consuming. So if there's a way to actually consolidate it, simplify it, and make things more efficient, then it's going to allow our engineers to make better decisions down the road, which is optimizing performance on the racetrack.
Okay, talk about the tension between the three of you. I imagine that you only care about speed. You care about speed and manufacturing. Can we make it? And you care about speed.
We all care about
manufacturing capability
we have
and
that
cost, maybe. Cost.
Look.
So what are the trade-offs? Obviously, everyone cares about speed and winning, but there are layers to the trade-offs because you can't just always turn every dial to 11, right?
Well, I mean, look. I spent 30 years in the Marines.
Yeah.
And we got tired of fighting wars on PowerPoint.
Mm-hmm.
And, for business, we're getting tired of making decisions off of rudimentary and incomplete systems that provide only partial solutions. And it just takes forever to get data together.
Yeah.
And so, from a business perspective, we have to look at it and basically say, look, we want to transition to something better. Mm-hmm. And the cost of that is not just material, like dollars. Mm-hmm. It's also change. It's changing mindset. And as you can see from Andretti, they're all into this. Yeah. This team is ready to make that transformation, but it'll still come at a cost, right? There's people who are stuck in their ways. Mm-hmm. Look, I like to do things this way. I'm not used to that much data coming at me. I can't make decisions that fast. This is transformational, and really fundamentally, it's people, money, it's organizational. And obviously when you got a great team, it's just going to go like a hot knife through butter. It's going to be amazing.
That's great. Yeah, walk me through some of the benefits and try and give me some anecdotes about where gains have come from throughout your career.
Yeah, I mean, for us, we take in so much time series data on the car specifically. That's the representation of what Kyle's doing on the track, right? Sure. And what the car's doing and all of that. And being able to connect that data to his feedback and ensure also that data is clean and it is correct. It's not like a car that's just rolling down the road and it's hanging around and putting some sensor data out. He's flogging the thing around the racetrack and occasionally touching walls and other cars, and so it's
more
really
than touching.
It's really difficult sometimes to make sure every system is working perfectly, right? Yeah. It's a never-ending battle of trying to do that, and so we're working really hard with some ML models and some stuff to pick out sensor anomalies and flag them automatically, so that our systems engineers don't miss them, and they can go drill down and figure out why that sensor's failed or where and what their knock-on effects are, and in the end just get that part replaced immediately, so that the next outing, the next time we're on track, we know the data is going to be as good as it can be. That's been the earliest, easiest wins for us is kind of in that space.
Yeah. Yeah. Is there how do you think about budgetary constraints? Is that something that's just set internally? Like, how do you work through?
I'm happy that I don't have to worry about
You don't have to worry about
it.
Drew? But I mean, even zooming out for those who might not be familiar, I mean, we saw some drama earlier this week about salary caps and different ways to get around things. Like, how do you think about setting the budget for the team and then actually executing against that? Because that's got to be the last phase against how do you actually deliver something that you can deliver on race day every single day with reliability and not need to cut the costs later.
Let's talk, like, this is innovation.
Yeah.
Okay. So we got to be careful here.
Yeah.
Right. So if you come in, I mean, obviously there's dollar budgets, right? Because it's not unconstrained.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, like, what we want to do is we're talking about a fully connected business here.
Sure.
So they've got an HR shop, they've got a tech team, they've got engineering, they've got a ton of groups that all need to be brought together.
Yeah.
So apart from just the car and the magnificence of what we're doing, you've got to bring it all together. And so we need room and space to be able to build out a complete connected business.
Yeah.
Because frankly, every signal across the business is value.
Sure.
And by squeezing and optimizing and making things run more efficiently, we end up with a better sport.
Yeah.
And like, I think at this point we're in that journey. And so costs are going to be, not giant, but constrained, and we're going to deliver, and we're going to watch and see as this evolves until we land somewhere where we can finally say, this is it, this is the benchmark, and this is what we should manage off of.
Yeah, for us, we're going to ask for every tool we possibly can to make the car better. He's expecting us to do that job, and in turn we turn around to the commercial side of our business and look at them and say, hey, it's your guys' job to go out and find that sponsorship, find those things, because if we don't use this tool, our competitors will.
Yep.
And we're in the business of winning, and if we're not going to try to do that, then why are we here?
Take us through the next few months on the calendar, the rest of the year, the next year.
So we literally just ended the last race of the season like 4 days ago. So we officially start our off season, and this is where we sort of take some of our use cases and our ideas that we've sort of half baked and trialed some stuff and look at it and productionize it. And and in the end, try and get all of these, or at least the first initial use cases, ready to go for St. Pete 2026. That's kind of the target, and there's a ton of prep from here to there.
Yeah, and I'd say in the off season, racing is so expensive that you're limited on how much testing you can actually do on a racetrack, right? So it's very important that all the data that we collect and we utilize is actually making a difference, and we're actually able to progress with the data that we have. So that's where the engineers come in, right? We've got a massive group of engineers that take a lot of pride in their work, and they have 5-6 months from now until the start of the next season that they dig in through maybe 1 or 2 tests that we get, maybe some wind tunnel stuff, maybe some various other things, shaker rigs we call it. But we can't really get on track that much because of how expensive it is. So a lot of what we do is in the sim world, and it is very data driven.
What does the rest of your off season look like? Are you training and running? I saw the F1 movie and Brad Pitt's always running around. Are you running, or are you a technical guy, or both?
Training is important, right? I mean, you have to be, as a racing driver, you got to be like a certain weight, certain size. You have to be, you got to have good endurance, but you also need to have some strength to be able to wheel the car around, right? We don't have power steering. You're hitting the brake pedal as hard as you possibly can. And we're pulling up to 4 or 5 Gs for an hour and 40 to 2 hours at a time. So it can get very physical, very fast. No power steering. No, and the car makes over 5,000, 6,000 pounds of downforce. So imagine driving your road car that weighs 8,000 pounds or something like that around without power steering.
Flash that on the screen when you got the driver view, so that you guys get a little credit. Because I think people assume it's like turning the wheel of a Tesla or whatever.
No, it's much tougher than people tend to realize. That's specific to IndyCar racing, though. IndyCar racing, we don't have power steering. F1 does. A lot of sports cars that you see, they do have power steering, but IndyCar itself, they do it for the sport, and they've kept it that way for many years. So it's a little bit old style, but at the same time, it's good because it really translates it
from the boys.
a little bit, right? Yeah, it's like it creates a sport out of it, right? It's a little bit more physical. People don't look at it as much as like, oh, you're just driving a car around some roads, right? Pushing pedals, turning wheels. No, there's actually a physical side to it. So
that's cool.
The off season is a lot of training, preparation. We do a lot of sim work and driver in the loop simulators, and it's just being ready for the next race that comes up. It's hard though, because you don't have G forces. You can't simulate G forces for a driver. So having that involved is something that you get acquired to as the season progresses, if I'm being honest.
What's your daily?
I'm sorry.
What's your daily driver when you're not on the track?
My daily driver. So that is one of the great things about being a racing driver is you don't have to own a car.
Oh, you don't own a car.
Okay. So I race for.
You get loaners or something. Is that
exactly.
Okay.
So I race for Honda, right, an IndyCar, and I have
S2000 lowered with underlighting. Glow. You have glow on the S2000. No, that's funny.
I have a Acura MDX.
Very cool.
Since they're
cool.
sister companies, right?
And
then I also
they're not sending you an NSX.
They don't make the NSX anymore, so
they still got them laying around.
Yeah,
give them a call. We'll talk to them. We'll say we need them ripping around an NSX.
And then I also race sports cars for Lexus as well.
Cool.
And
LFA every day, obviously.
They also don't make an LFA anymore. So just $1 million $2 car. I can just go rip and depreciate real quick. I have an IS 500 at home.
Okay,
so that's the other car.
That's great. Yeah. Fantastic. Well, thank you guys for coming on. This is fantastic. Anything else worth sharing before you get out of here? Okay. Enjoy the rest of the conference. Thank you so much for hopping on.
Thank you.
We'll talk to you soon.
Cheers, guys.
Have a good one.
Thanks.
Goodbye. Jordy, any other breaking news going on? We have our next guest coming into the studio in just a minute. I believe we have. Who do we have? We have someone else coming on. Okay, cool. Yeah. We're good whenever. We kind of ran late. Now we're running a couple minutes early. We will keep it going.
Palantir CEO Alex.
These again.
Palantir CEO Alex Karp thinks the value of skilled workers is spiking, even as big tech companies, possibly his own, may shrink. Our revenue is going up. Our sales force is going down. He said on TBPN, the number of people we plan to have in the future is less than now. Very cool. We scoop. We're scoop maxing. We're news maxing, everybody.
We're news maxing.
What else?
I think we're ready for our next guest. If you want to just go the timeline, we're looking good. Lots of posts, having fun. Welcome to the stream. If you're ready, we're good. We're happy to have you. How you doing,
happening?
John?
Nice to meet you.
Thank you so much for taking the time.
Yeah.
Welcome to the
Jacoby.
show.
Thank you.
Any relation to Brandon Jacoby? With an
I don't
I?
think so.
I think you guys
I
spell it
would know.
differently. We have a buddy who works. He's a designer, and we like to poke fun at him because he is. We call him Jacoby, and whenever we have a design problem, we always call him.
The last name sticks with that one.
Yeah.
Yep.
Anyway, please introduce yourself for the stream.
Yeah.
Who are you? What do you do?
Happy to. Sorry, I'm out of breath. That's the last.
You're good. You're good.
So Matt Jacoby. I'm the head of data science and analytics at Racetrac.
Okay.
Southeast-based fuel and convenience retailer.
Yeah.
And shout out to my wife for letting me come up here because we're technically on vacation this week.
I heard this. This is crazy. The grind never stops.
You couldn't miss AIPCon.
Got the memo about lock-in season.
Well, it's you, gentlemen. I couldn't pass up the chance to
we really
participate.
appreciate it.
Yeah.
Okay, so
it's great to have you.
Yeah. So break down the business a little bit more. Give me a sense of the scale. What the day-to-day is like. Customer. Obviously we have a general idea, but give us more.
Yeah. Happy to share. So roughly 700 retail locations across our family of brands of Racetrac, Raceway, and Golf. A lot of people don't realize that we own Golf.
Golf.
Yep.
Cool.
10,000 employees, associates in our stores, and people at our store support center in Atlanta. A lot of people don't know either. We're top 5 largest privately held company in the state of Georgia, and we are top 15 in the United States.
Yes, thank you. We have a So walk me through a little bit of the history of the company, because I imagine that what we're going to talk about in terms of software, artificial intelligence is, a revision to the way it was done years ago, right? So walk me through a little bit of the history. Get me up to speed.
Oh, wow. Well, I can't speak to all of it.
Yeah,
I've been there about 2 years. But what I can say is that we've done a really great job of focusing on transformation, specifically data-enabled transformation. Actually, just wrapped up a conversation about this downstairs. But if you ask me, one of the purest use cases for transformation is converting from gut-based and tribal knowledge-based decision-making to data-driven, and therefore, after that, analytics and AI-based transformation. So we've really focused heavily, even before my time, on making the best decisions we can with data. And so our partnership with Palantir has really allowed us to take that to the next level, right? The proverbial next level. I promised myself I would avoid buzzwords in this conversation, but it may not happen.
Naturally.
But yeah, it's been a conscious and concerted effort by our leadership, top to bottom, to really make that happen. And it's not easy at times, right? You're asking people to step out of what they've done in the past and to trust data and math that may or may not be right, if we're just being candid. And so we've really grown and focused and developed on building that muscle with the organization, top to bottom. It's been a really, really interesting and impactful 2 years with our team thus far.
Walk me through some of the concrete ways that you can use data to make a decision at Racetrac. I remember there's this funny story. It might be apocryphal, but I heard that. I always do this where I tell some story that might be entirely
hallucinates. You're an LLM.
but
over
so the story goes is that McDonald's needed to figure out how to place a bunch of restaurants. I'm sure that this is something somewhat related to what you have to do. You decide where the restaurants go, and they did a ton of analysis, and they figured out this street corner was the best, and that street corner was the best, and they spent millions of dollars in consulting, and they put them all there. And then Burger King came along and said, "Yeah, just put one next to McDonald's." And there's some beauty there. There's some hilarity there. But you can imagine that that's the type of very tractable problem. Where should I put a thing? Also, like store layout, planograms, figuring out what goes on promotion, when pricing, dynamic pricing. There's a whole bunch of things that I could imagine you could do. But walk me through what you did
even
last
at the individual
week
at the individual store level, where it's like, hey, we're out of this product.
Yeah. What are the problems? What's the most recent case study you did?
Yeah, great question. Look at you talking about planograms.
Love them.
So yeah, we like to say that we're always focused on the customer, right? At the end of the day, it's our customers and it's our associates that make this massive business continue to run and thrive. And so you're hitting on inventory. That's a really important use case. But even more important than that is making sure that we have the right levels of people at our stores to meet that customer demand. There's nothing worse than when you go up to a gas station to fill up your gas tank and there's a yellow bag on the handle. Or I would actually argue it's even more painful when you put it into your to fill up and then it's slow or it's out. Yeah. So there's that, and there's also the inside experience, right? We take pride in our food offering. So fresh pizza, fresh sandwiches, breakfast sandwiches. And that takes people, that takes time, and that takes hours. And making sure that we have the right level of people in the store, right number of hours, and the right skill sets as well. It's not just, you can't just throw hours at these problems. You need to understand the skill set to meet that demand and meet those expectations of the customer, because at the end of the day, it really is that customer that makes us continue to thrive. And we've got this pin on, we're celebrating 95 years. We've been here a long time, and we expect to be here a lot longer.
95 years ago, software didn't exist. It truly did not exist. And now you're sitting here implementing AI and the largest enterprise software platform possible. Switching gears, a little bit of a hot take. Have you been surprised by the developments in just how the electric car has rolled out? There was a moment when everyone was like, do not get in the gas station business at all. It's going to be all electric. All these companies are cooked. And then we saw the consumer kind of pull back from that and want a different experience. And maybe they have a daily that's a Tesla, and it's great. But then they also still are in the gas world in some ways. Has there been optimism inside the company for the future?
Well, we are certainly investing in the future. I was going
to say, people that are charging EVs, they still want to get fresh pizza, right?
They do.
Exactly.
Yeah. And we're actually taking a unique approach where we're developing that infrastructure and those customer venues on our own. So we've chosen to really understand the customer and do it in a way that meets their expectations, because we can't predict what the future is gonna hold 100%.
It's also a different experience right now, because you might be stopping for 20 minutes instead of 2 minutes or 5 minutes.
That's a great point too. So you have a more captive audience
for
a longer period of time, and
throw
we
an
take a lot of
in
pride
there.
in all. Exactly.
Throw something else.
Come get some Racetrac swag in the gas station.
Or anything.
Fresh pizza or what have you. But
sit down for a minute.
We're certainly not turning a blind eye to what lays ahead.
That's cool.
We have certain strategies and things that we're talking about to make sure that we stay ahead.
It does feel like it's a unique opportunity now to actually take that seriously. You've seen where this market stabilizes, and there's also just the standardization around NACS now. Like the actual charging port is standardizing, so that probably makes the infrastructure cost cost a lot less, or a lot less risky, I guess, for you. Yeah, very, very exciting. So walk me through the actual like scale of the Palantir implementation. Are you early days? Are you trying to roll this out to all the employees? You said 10,000, wasn't it? Something like that. Do you want everyone to interface with this, or is this more of like a managerial tool that will be used to like make decisions about how to run the business?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think right now we've really focused in on use cases that are driven at the managerial level or the head kind of the store support center level. But that's certainly not to say that there aren't implications at our stores, because there certainly are. And I think as we progress and as we deploy more and more use cases, I very easily could see getting the technology in our frontline associates' hands as a real value add and frankly a differentiator.
Yeah. Have you had any problems with different enterprise software companies not playing nicely together? You don't have to name names, but we've just been tracking this story that there's now some AI companies that come out and say, hey, we want to take your Google Docs and get it to talk to your Slack, and Slack is owned by Salesforce, so they don't want to talk to each other. And I'm wondering in the retail context, if like a POS system and an inventory management system, like there might be some similar sharp elbows, or is it all pretty copacetic?
Yeah, I think it's fairly copacetic, but mostly because of our IT team and the really great work that they've done from a data architecture standpoint and consolidating everything centrally and really removing the need for kind of call it peer-to-peer communication of those platforms. But
because everything goes into data lake
exactly,
and Palantir. Yeah,
exactly. And again, I think that team really deserves a shout out too. So while our team is in the business, the IT and the data team has really been an enabler for us. We have a wealth of information and data that we can make some of these really complex decisions with. And without it, we would be severely hamstrung and would be working on challenges like pulling out of POS systems or what have you. And so we're past that level, and we have a really strong data lake and infrastructure and architecture to support all of the nerdy math that my team loves to do.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. What else are you trying to identify going forward? I imagine that like the base case is just like, I want to know what stores are overperforming, underperforming, but then ideally you want to be able to predict which stores are going to start underperforming and intervene beforehand. Is that roughly?
Roughly. I think it depends on the use cases. And again, not to throw buzzwords out there again, but we break down analytics into four main types. There is the descriptive, so the old school reporting and dashboarding, Tableau, Power BI. Sure. The diagnostic, which explains the descriptive. And then my team really steps in on the predictive and the prescriptive front. So, think about predictive maintenance, or, hey, this fuel pump is predicted to go down in the next 2 or 3 weeks. That predictive and prescriptive approach allows us to pivot, again, transformationally, away from being reactive to being proactive with things that really impact our customers. So we like to really focus on, hey, where are the customer pain points? How can we peel that onion? How can we solve some of those so that they have a better experience? And that drives a lot of it too. So yeah, there's a world of use cases out there, and we're really just scratching the surface.
Very cool.
One last question for me: are there bad actors in the gas station business that intentionally pump the gas slow to drive people into the convenience store?
Oh my gosh. Because that flies in the face of everything that we think. We like to joke a lot about, on my team, and maybe others share this sentiment or don't, but is it worse if a pump isn't working? Or is it actually worse if a pump is slow? And I actually think my experience are the most painful when I go up to a pump and it's slowly ticking. At least when you see a bag, you see the yellow handle.
Then just don't
go there. Don't go there. And I don't think
I just remember maybe it was because when I was a kid and I was broke and I'd put like $20 on pump 5 and it just felt like it'd go fast. And now as an adult, I'm getting like 5 times the amount of gas. Right? I'm just like,
you weren't going to racetracks because we predict when that's down.
Very off-brand for Racetrac to do anything slowly.
Yeah,
speed is in the name. DNA of this company.
Racetrac
for 93 years, or 95 years. 95 years.
I can't wait for 100. You'll have to come back on.
Yeah,
I would love to.
100 years of Racetrac data analysis. Break it down. We'll do 100-hour stream straight.
Year by year. I mean, it must be fascinating.
Name every data point.
I mean, just pulling like the revenue over a 93-year ramp, like that's got to be fascinating.
It'd be interesting.
Fascinating. Anyway,
thank you so much for coming on and interrupting your vacation.
This is great. We'll talk to you soon.
Enjoy the conference.
Have a great rest of your day.
Cheers.
Enjoy the conference.
And that's our last guest for the day,
that's
right?
Our last guest for the day.
This was fun. Started out with a bang.
We should run through a thank you to all the sponsors that make this possible. We told you about ramp.com. Time is money. Save both. We are, of course, powered by Restream. One live stream, 30 plus destinations. Of course, we won't need to tell you about Figma. Think bigger, build faster. Go to Figma.com for all your design needs and get compliant on Vanta.com. Manage risk, prove trust continuously. We also got Graphite.dev supporting us, code review for the age of AI. Polymarket, of course. Some big news out of Polymarket. There was a major trade deal. We'll talk about that tomorrow.
Okay.
Julius, what analysis do you want to run? You can chat with your data and get expert level insights in seconds. Turbo Puffer, our newest sponsor. Search every byte, serverless vector, and full text search. Build from first principles on object storage. Profound, if you want to get your brand mentioned in ChatGPT, go to Profound. Linear, of course, is a purpose-built tool for planning and building products.
Big day for Linear.
Big day for Linear. Big day for Linear. Getting lots of shout outs in the Atlassian comp.
If Atlassian is paying $610 for the browser company, they should get ready to pay $6 trillion for Linear.
I think so. We are of course supported by Numeral, numeralhq.com. Sales tax on autopilot. Fin.ai, the #1 AI agent for customer service. Adio, customer relationship magic. Adio is the AI native CRM that builds, scales, and grows your company to the next level. We, of course, sleep on 8 Sleeps. You can go to 8sleep.com. We are also supported by public.com, investing for those that take it seriously. And we always tell you about adquick.com. Out-of-home advertising made easy and measurable.
AdQuick forever.
And if you noticed, Dr. Karp was wearing a fantastic Patek Philippe Aquanaut with
chronograph.
an orange strap. And if you want one for yourself, you can go to Bezel, getbezel.com. Your Bezel concierge is available now to source you any watch on the planet, seriously, any watch. And I'm sure that they would love to find you
Orange Band
Aquanaut for sure.
Business Insider has a scoop here that says Palantir CEO Alex Karp says top tech talent is about to get crazy valuable. Alex Karp, CEO of Palantir, said on quote-unquote TBPN.
Again in the
Why
quotes.
do they put us in quotes?
This is the dividing line.
Why do they put us in quotes?
This is the dividing line. Close the laptop.
Okay, so
Close
Business Insider.
Oh, wow.
The website Business Insider.
Wow.
Says that top tech talent.
I think we just gotta put like just one of the words in quotes. It can't be quote business.
Business Insider.
Yeah, Business Insider. That is the way we talk.
I actually have to look into this company because I love business and I love
insider trading.
Insiders in business.
Isn't that the lore? Henry Blodgett, the guy who started Business Insider,
loved insider
trading. I think he lost his. I think he lost his license. I'm not kidding.
Okay, look this up.
Business Insider history.
And more breaking news: Justin Bieber is launching Swag 2 tonight, the new album.
What does that mean? And
Meek Mill posted 2 hours ago. Meek Mill becomes AI founder.
So according to Wikipedia, Henry Blodgett was charged with civil securities fraud by the U.S. SEC, settled the charges with payment of $4 million. He was permanently barred from the securities industry by the SEC and the NYSE. The charges rose during the dot-com boom at Merrill Lynch, which included issuing materially misleading research reports on internet companies and making exaggerated or unwarranted claims about them to customers. And then in 2007, 4 years later, he co-founded Business Insider, which is a fantastic pun. Like, it's so funny. It's so funny.
He was in the business of insider trading, and he said, "Why don't I combine?"
They didn't say insider trading; they said civil securities fraud. But it doesn't sound great, but After
There's
a
so many
7-year
good
run, Jeff Bezos purchased a stake in Business Insider, and he had a great run, 2007 to 2023. Anyway,
there's so many great quotes from the Karp segment. This one, he says, I would say modestly, I'm the most humble I've ever been. You would never build a software company downstream from value creation. It's all, how do I make the client feel like they're getting laid while they're getting effed? So good. The founder, Adam, who introduced AI Key, a small device that lets AI control your entire phone, just plug it in and ask it to complete a task. He's saying all of this and still no TBPN invite. We should probably have him on. A lot of people were said no thanks because I guess he previously worked in military intelligence and people didn't feel inclined to plug a hardware device into their phone. But
we're in the capital of military intelligence right now.
It looks like he sold out the initial batch. So
let's have him on. Put the timeline in turmoil. Anyone who puts the timeline in turmoil is welcome on the show.
I'll give him a follow right now, and we will make it happen.
We're a lot of people are having fun with the stream. This is a great reaction. Anyway, that's our show. We got to get out of the United States and back to the United States.
We do. Last thing, this just because it is breaking and it's funny. OpenAI plans to launch an AI-powered hiring platform by mid-2026, putting the outfit in close competition with LinkedIn.
With LinkedIn.
The company also wants to start certifying people for AI fluency.
Are
you AI fluent?
This seems like more of a Mercor competitor than LinkedIn. Maybe, I don't know. Like, we need to dig in more to that. But the other odd thing is that wouldn't Microsoft get a copy of whatever they build? So wouldn't Microsoft get access to, like, if they build a new? I mean, that's the deal. That's the nature of the deal, is that they get the rights to AI, OpenAI's IP. So if they build something that's valuable, but if they build a network, then that's a separate thing, right? Because the IP doesn't matter as much. Like the weights to GPT-5 are not as valuable as the ChatGPT app. So yeah, maybe there's something there. I don't know.
Whoa.
People have been complaining about LinkedIn for a long time, so maybe there's
breaking news.
What is this?
Donald Boat says that he has art for the Ultradome.
Oh yeah. I was talking to him about that. I'm very excited.
Great.
He made something. Great. So.
Well, I wish we could keep streaming, but we got to get back to
we got to go. Okay, let's go.
All right, folks.
Anyway, thank you. We will see you tomorrow.
Today, we love you. Back to a regular show tomorrow.
Have a good rest of your day. Bye.